Cheering at pro wrestling shows in Japan is back, and 2023 is already shaping up to be a big year in the history of pro res. That's why you should listen to the Emerald Flow Show. From the Royal Road to the Green Mat, Paul and Gerard take you into the world of All Japan Pro Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Noah. Not only do we analyze events, but we examine business, who is getting over, what angles are working or not. Occasionally, we take a look at other Japanese promotions like DDT and Zero One. So if you're looking for more coverage of the world of Japanese wrestling, check out the Emerald Flow Show on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, available on all of your favorite podcast apps.
Hello there, my name's Neil David and I'm the host of Eurograps Express, the podcast exclusively dedicated to the wrestling of Europe. If it's wrestling and it happens in Europe and it's good, we talk about it. Whether it's Rev Pro, Progress, WXW, Passion Pro, Pro Wrestling Chaos, Pro Wrestling North, we don't care, we talk about them all. If it's good and it's exciting, I want to share it with you. We're on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Check us out on the feed, check us out on Twitter at EuroGrapsEXP, and join us for chat about European wrestling and a little bit of chat about cheese. Hopefully see you there.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
You are listening to the Flagship Podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
I hate the commentators. I hate the ring announcers. I hate the production. I hate the wrestling. I hate the interviews. I hate their promo style. I hate the way the shows are presented. I hate the way the shows are paced. I hate the video packages. I hate everything about this company with every fiber of my being.
And Rich Crage.
You know, he comes out and you're just like, ugh, gross. Like, look at this guy.
Yeah.
In all the best ways possible. He's just the slimiest looking guy you've ever seen. I love him so much. He's so good.
And we are live on the Flagship Podcast. I am Rich. Unfortunately, no Joe Lanza tonight. Got a bit of a not an emergency of sort. I mean, he has an older dog, so I guess anytime you have an older dog, there's an emergency. But something happened with his dog today, just before we were about to go live. So he is going to take his dog to the vet. I reassured him that no, please take your dog to the vet. Dogs are the most important thing to us here on the Flagship Podcast. So I told him, no, do not feel bad. Don't worry about it. Don't wait 1 second. Get that dog over to the vet if you have any concerns or any worries or anything going on. Worry about the dog first and foremost. The shows will be fine. I even said, you knew that dog a lot longer than you knew me, and you know that dog a lot longer than you know me. So screw me. Go take care of that dog. So Joe will not be with us tonight. I said everything is okay, but it's you know, you got dog stuff. So again, we're a pro dog podcast here. I told Joe, get out of here. Don't worry about it. Worry about the dog first and foremost. So he will not be here tonight. So we're going to change things up a little bit. Now, it might be on the fly. Some of this stuff might be on the fly here as I'm trying to, I'm trying to figure out what we're going to do here because it was pretty last minute, but that's okay. It's okay. Things happen like this. Emergencies happen like this. I'm a professional. I can handle it. I'm good. I got some calls out. I got some other things going on with some other people. So we might have some fun shows. We might have some little, people might come on here in a little bit. You might get the return of the Cisco hold music as I try to get someone ready to go to come on. But I have a few ideas. I have a few calls out there to people. So we'll see what ends up happening. But we will still do as much of the show that we were going to do, the same. I think we can probably keep the show pretty similar to what we were going to do. I know that Joe was up on the National Wrestling Alliance, and I can't lie and say that I've been pounding the pavement on NWA Power over the last, that's hard to say, pounding the pavement on NWA Power, but have not been doing that. So I was really just going to ask what all these stipulation matches were for this NWA show that's coming up pretty, this weekend, actually, this weekend. That's going to be the gimmick there. I don't know that we can, do the Samhain, even though it's spelled Samhan. It's Samhain. I made sure to learn how to pronounce it this week. But there's Devil's Last Dance, Ultimate Hardcore War, the Burning Lake Brawl, the Rock and Roll Tag Team Match, the Riddle Box, the Knights of the Round tables match. I guess I get what that one is. It's probably just a tables match, pillar to post. No idea. So that gimmick might be lost unless somebody springs out of nowhere and decides that they are going to be our NWA correspondent this week. I don't think that's going to happen. So we probably won't do the NWA because you do not want to hear me for 25 minutes list off the 19 matches they're going to be on this Samhain show and a bunch of stipulation matches that I don't know what the hell the stipulations are, and I don't know the build because I wouldn't be caught dead watching NWA Power in the lead up to NWA Samhain this weekend. VoicesWrestling.com/fight, by the way, if you want to order that show. So we'll probably shelf the NWA segment. I know you got the long-awaited NWA segment. Trust me, next week we will review NWA Samhain. Trust me. We will do that. I don't know why, but we're going to do that. But Bound for Glory, I already did that as well, so we might not necessarily do that part of the show all that much. We'll see what ends up happening with the Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory thing, because I already did that live, or I did my instant reaction the morning after. Already talked about the show, reviewed it, did all that sort of stuff. I think we can have some fun talking about the TNA coming back portion if we want to do that. I think we'll have some fun doing that segment as well. So TNA will be back. Bound for Glory we will talk about. I do want to talk about MJF and Kenny Omega, of course, at Collision. I wrote an article at flagshippatreon.com that seems to have upset some people because I said that it makes no sense that MJF and Kenny Omega is happening in 3 days at Collision. I said there is no justification for it, and people are pissing their pants like crazy about that. So I have a lot to say about that again, so we will definitely do that. NXT Halloween Havoc Night 1. Fuck, I had to watch this horrific show, so you know goddamn well we're going to talk about NXT Halloween Havoc Night 1. Yes, there's a Night 1 and a Night 2 for NXT Halloween Havoc. I think I'll be skipping Night 2, but I had to talk about Night 1 for a multitude of reasons, and some big happenings in All Japan Pro Wrestling as well. Nakajima debuts with the company. Yumi Oyagi and Kenta Miyahara have a big-time match on the 21st, the show from the 21st. We are going to, of course, talk about that. But let's we'll figure this out. Like I said, it's not no problem. We'll make it work. We'll make it happen here, no matter what. So, give me one moment as I try to figure out. The things may have changed again. So give me 1 second. The return of the Cisco hold music here as I figure out what we're going to do. I will get back to you guys in about a minute or so. This will probably be lopped off the final, but just want to make sure that we have everything, all of our ducks in a row here to make sure we have the show ready to go for you guys. Make sure I give you at least pretty close to 3 hour show. So bear with me for a minute or two. Got one thing to figure out, and then we will be right back. So enjoy the Cisco hold music. All right. Thank you guys for your patience. He's here. Unbelievably. Joe Lanza. Joe, what's happening?
We're on the air?
You're on the air. We're live, pal. We're live, pal.
All right. So I don't know how much of the show you've done.
I introduced all the topics, said that I was going to lose the NWA topic because I didn't know what the fuck a burning bush lake match or whatever it was. So that's as far as I did. I introed us, and then that's when you texted me, and I said, I will be right back trying to figure out what the hell we're going to do here. So we're good.
Well, number one, I don't know what any of those matches are either, so I can't help you with that. Damn
it. You don't know what the burning bush lake of fire match is or whatever the fuck? Damn it.
No, I do not.
Knights of the Round tables match. I think I know that one. That one, I think I have a rough idea of what the Knights of the Round tables match is. Pillar to post, no idea. No clue on that.
No, and number two, because I live 5 minutes from the vet, for now we got everything taken care of. And, if in an extreme worst case scenario, I may have to drop out again to take her to an emergency vet as per the instructions from my vet earlier. But it looks like, she's going to be okay until we can get her back there in the morning, for a more thorough examination. But it's not life threatening or anything like that at this point. So, I was able to potentially jump back in if you hadn't made any kind of alternate plans or got too far.
Everybody ditched me. I had a few people I reached out to. I will say the one that I did actually want to get on here just so we could talk about this for a couple of minutes is Warren Hayes, Mr. Warren Hayes. You've done his show as well. So I messaged him and I said, hey, what are you doing tonight? And he says, quote, I am currently at the garage getting my winter tires put on. Look at this Mr. Canada over here. Winter tires, club and seals.
Well,
that's
right. You can't get to those seals. You can't get to those baby seals.
Yeah, they're all the way in where all the ice is. So you got to get the winter tires put on so you can get to
the
seals.
The chains on the tires and everything.
Got to get through the glaciers to get to the seals. Yeah. So
baby seals.
Oh, it's
let's
baby
emphasize
seals,
that.
Yes, baby seals.
He's clubbing baby seals. You want that sweet baby fur that it's a little softer than the adult coat. I don't even know if seals have fur, but whatever they have.
I think it's more they're going for the blubber or whatever, I believe is what they're more after.
I don't know. You got to ask him. He's the one who clubs baby
I would
seals.
know. I am not from Western Canada, so I know nothing about clubbing baby seals. So
yeah, it's me neither. But anyway, he's off the hook, and you are not off the hook from discussing the National Wrestling Alliance.
But I am, though, because I thought you would be like, Rich, the Kingdom of Fire match is this, but you don't know either. So I guess we're just going to wildly speculate what these stipulation matches are then instead.
I mean, I watched all the TV and I don't really know what any of them are. No.
Okay, well that doesn't bode well. So no, the NWA is back, folks. Do not worry. I gave people a little bit of tease there that hey, it might be gone this week, but next week it's coming back. Did you learn how to pronounce the name of this pay-per-view yet?
No, I did not.
Samhain. Samhain is how you pronounce it.
Samhain.
Yes, even though there's an M and an H. Several letters.
Samhain.
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 I think you're putting too much on it. I think it's Samhain. Samhain.
Samhain.
Sure. Perfect. Nailed it.
I mean,
I feel like you got too much jersey in there, but I don't think we're going to be able to get the jersey out. That's not something that gets changed tonight. That doesn't get
either too much jersey or like Christopher Walken, one or the other.
Right. Something's going on there that we're not going to be able to solve tonight.
Yeah. Samhain. Want more cowbell, right?
Yeah.
Samhain.
Yeah, you kind of got a Christopher Walken thing going. Yeah, let's go with that. You know what? Fine with me. I think we'll let that one slide. So we're back to normal then. So again, yeah, absolutely. If something happens with the dog, please ditch this stupid show immediately and take care of the dog. Can you promise me that at least, and then we'll move forward?
I have instructions from the vet.
Okay.
To proceed, but the vet seems to think that it'll be fine until until the morning when I got to take her in for more extensive stuff. So
yeah, okay.
But for now, yeah, dog's fine for now. Yeah.
Our thoughts are with the dog. Hopefully she's doing okay.
Madeline.
Yes.
The blind and deaf Madeline. Rough life.
my guy's starting to get pretty blind and pretty deaf too. He's bumping into walls and shit now, and I'll say his name, and he just kind of looks around in circles, and I'm like, right here, and he's like, oh hey, yeah, there you are. So yeah, that sucks, but
it's brutal.
She's a Boston Terrier, right?
Yeah,
a little Boston Terrier. All right, yeah. Well,
yeah.
She's had a good little. It's got to be like 15, right? At this point, 13, 14, 15, somewhere in that range.
She'll be 15.
Look at that.
She'll be 15.
Yeah, she can keep on trucking for a little bit longer. Well, good for Madeline.
The whole life cycle of this show used to be a barker, but barking on the show. But
yes,
I haven't heard her bark in years. I mean, she don't.
Yeah, got no time for it anymore.
No time, no time for it. Other than the blood curdling, awful noises that were coming out of her an hour ago, she's not very vocal at all. But it should be fine. So if it's not, I will get the fuck out of here.
As long as you make that promise to me that you will say, "Hey, I gotta go," and then you leave immediately.
Yeah, of course.
All right, then we're good. Then we will continue. With the flagship. So I talked to I introed everything, said we would I wouldn't talk about Bound for Glory as well because I did the instant reaction-ish live on flagshippatreon.com, but we can bring that one back. So we'll talk Bound for Glory. We'll talk about TNA returning, NXT Halloween Havoc. I said I'm not getting off the hook because I already watched this shit show, so I have to talk about it, or else it was a complete waste of my 2 hours. And apparently it's only a 2-hour show. It felt like it was 4. I feel like I'm still watching it. I feel like it hasn't ended just yet. This NXT Halloween Havoc night 1. We are not watching night 2, by the way. You are not getting me to watch night 2, and you are not watching night 2 either. We're done with Halloween Havoc.
Well,
we're done with it.
I'm definitely watching night 2, but I will say that, last year's Halloween Havoc, I thought I was the worst pro wrestling show of the year. And we did audio on that we clipped for YouTube.
Yep. The intro of this particular week was your famous. I hate everything that this company does. I hate how everybody speaks. I hate how everybody. Yeah, it was because of that. You will never be my friend. You are never my friend. The Cora Jade, Roxanne Perez match that just brutal,
irredeemably bad show. That was one of the worst pro wrestling shows I've ever seen in my life. That Halloween Havoc NXT show last year, and night 1 of Halloween Havoc this year I thought was even worse. I thought it was somehow even worse.
It was pretty terrible.
It's like this was so bad. The main event
was good.
The main event was good match. Lyra Valkyria wins the women's title from Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch has gone down to NXT and worked her ass off to get Tiffany Stratton over. She worked hard here to get Lyra Valkyria over as the new champion. So Lynch has done some good things. So from that standpoint, maybe it wasn't a worse total package than last year's. But I still feel like it was because everything else on this show fucking sucks so bad. Irredeemably bad. Just awful, awful, other than the main event. Like every other second of this show was annoyingly bad. So do you want to just start from the top? I don't even.
Yeah, let's do it. So I had no plans of watching Halloween Havoc. Then you said, we should watch Halloween Havoc. And I was like, my gimmick was going to be, I was going to pretend that I watched Halloween Havoc 1990 instead, and then just talked about like the Steiner Brothers versus the Nasty Boys and the Black Scorpion instead. But then I said, hell, you know what? This show's getting, people are liking it. I was listening to reviews, reading reviews, and people were like, yeah, good little show. Hey, this match was good, and NXT continues to be pretty solid. And I was like, all right, fine. You know what? I'll watch this fucking show. First off, those people are nuts. And that's why we're doing this. And that's why we're doing this segment. And that's why we are going to continue to talk about NXT, because there are people on our Discord and people that reach out to us and go, why do you guys even talk about NXT anymore? You should just forget it. You don't like NXT. You don't like anything about it. Why don't you just stop talking about it? You had a reply a little bit earlier today that said, hey, if I only talk about the wrestling I like, we would basically just be talking about CMLL every week. And that's not going to work. We can't do 3 hours of CMLL. But also the flip side of that too is like, someone's got to say it when these things actually fucking suck. And too many people watch shows like this NXT Halloween Havoc Night 1 and go, hey, that was a good little show, or hey, that was a nice little show, or hey, this was a good match, or that was a good match, or hey, I really entertained, or whatever. When we have to tell these people, we have to do a service to your listeners and let you know this fucking sucked, and the show was bad, and the things that people say are good were horrible, and the stars that people say are stars are not actually stars. We are doing a service. We have to, because if we don't, who will? If we don't say that Chase U's stupid and annoying and bothers us, no one else will, because other people are just doing laugh cry emojis at every Chase U segment. So we are doing a service. Trust me. That's why we watch NXT and talk about NXT.
I can't let the WWE friendly media, which is like all of the media, sit here and tell people that these are good shows without being unchecked. I cannot do it. If it was a good show, I'd tell you it's a good show. I had We had some pretty mild praise for the last NXT pay-per-view, didn't we?
We were like the highest people on earth about the Tiffany Stratton Becky Lynch match. Like, people were stunned. And then you did your notebook roundup this that came out this week on flagshippatreon.com as well.
Yeah.
And people are continuing to be stunned at how much you loved Becky and Tiffany. And we came on here and said that was like the best WWE brawl we've seen in years. Tiffany is a star. That was a great match.
Brawl,
like, we love that match more than anybody else in the universe. I love that match.
mean, I thought that pay-per-view wasn't as terrible as these NXT shows usually are. So it's like, I'm not trying to not, like, don't get me wrong. I hate NXT, and I think it's the worst pro wrestling show I've ever seen. Like, in general, this current Shawn Michaels version of NXT. Everyone knows how I feel about it. It's terrible. You know, it's plastic is the word that comes to mind. It feels artificial. It feels like people putting on a show of feels like stage performers doing pro wrestling. It just doesn't, it feels fake. It feels, I don't know. I can never articulate it well. It feels like just this cheesy put on version of what someone might think pro wrestling is in their mind. It's really bad. I hate NXT, but if this show was good, I would tell you it's good. This show was abysmal. I don't like it was legitimately abysmal. So it opens up with, everybody in their Halloween gimmicks, Shotzi and the other one, Scarlett.
It was Scarlett and Shotzi. The show starts immediately with, welcome to Halloween Havoc. We're your hosts. It's like,
put on voices. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Shotzi
with her fucking pinhead and Scarlett's sexy witch or something. I don't even know what she was. It was just like, oh.
And then they're doing like tarot card readings throughout the whole show, and
multiple tarot card segments.
With the terrible acting that you get from these people on this thing.
We're your hosts for Halloween Havoc.
Yeah, the put on voice the whole time. The Halloween laugh that they're doing, like.
Every time.
Yeah.
I'm not, and by the way, if you think that's annoying, fucking watch this show if you think that's annoying. Trust me. Wasn't any better watching
I'm a grown adult man. Why am I watching this shit? This is fucking garbage, right? But you could almost overlook all of that if, like, the wrestling is good. So, what do we have up first? We've got Roxanne Perez, who it might be my least favorite wrestler, not named John Silver, right now, against Kiana James in a Devil's Playground match, Rich.
So if you're wondering, oh man, I wonder what the stipulations of a Devil's Playground match is, we would find out very quickly when Roxanne Perez walked down in her Freddy Krueger outfit and walked by a swing set, and I went, oh, it's quite literally a playground.
A literal small child's plastic swing set with like bad, like painted on blood stains, like on the slide and on the swing, like, red paint splatters to signify blood or something. And so the match is contested basically right outside the ring by the entranceway where they have enough room to work. It starts off horribly with Kiana James just blowing a moonsault. Did you see her blow that moonsault spot? Mm-hmm. So we're off to a great start right away. So they're doing these awful weapon spots with these playground, like Kiana James rips the teeter-totter apart. Like she rips the fucking, and then she's hitting Roxanne Perez like with these.
Well, she's got a bag too. Did you mention the bag yet?
Yeah, she's got her handbag. Yes, which we'll get to that later.
A big reveal at the end of the match. Yes.
So she's hitting her with this teeter-totter gimmick. Like, she couldn't have shown more light. I mean, can you lay it in a little? I mean, it takes you right out of it. Like, she's barely touching her with this thing. And Perez is, like, selling it and overselling it. Everything they're doing is sloppy. The whole thing's a fucking farce. It looks ridiculous. It looks cheap. There's, like, a little kiddie pool. Those plastic kiddie pools for, toddlers.
Or dogs. I use it for my dogs, yeah.
Yeah, it's, like, filled with sponges or something. Like... I'm not making this up. Like, it was filled with like what looked like to be like it was meant to be a sponge pit, and they never bumped into it. I don't even know what that was meant to be, but it didn't look like it would have hurt because it looked like it was like a foam pit or a sponge pit or something. And I'm just like, again, I'm a grown adult male. Why am I watching this?
And you should note, and someone in the chat room noted that there was blood stains all over the plastic slide.
Fake blood stains. Yeah.
In a company that hates blood and wants nobody to bleed ever, puts fake blood stains on a child's like slide for this Devil's Playground match.
So they're doing like these just awful like hardcore weapons, the complete opposite of Becky Lynch and Tiffany Stratton and their weapon match. It's just awful garbage, and it looked cheap, and it looked like something an indie would put on, and the work was messy. You know, James blowing the moonsault, the weak ass blows that were showing all kinds of light. And I get to the end of this thing, and Roxanne Perez wins with some kind of very slow moving and ugly looking. Very slow.
She does that Yoshi Tonic or the Code Red or whatever you want to call it.
It's so bad.
It takes 14 seconds to happen, and it's just like, and then people gif it, and they're like, incredible! She's an incredible athlete. It's like, I'm begging you to watch something else other than NXT. I'm begging you to watch any other wrestling on earth than NXT, please. It's not good. It's not good.
And I swear to God, I finished this match, and I was bullshitting in the Discord about it as I was watching it live. And I was like, I just watched a 1-star match. Like, you're not going to see many matches that are just more of a... And then Rich, and this is going to be a running gag during this review, I gave this match 1 star. The cage match inmates, Rich, are you ready?
Oh, no, I'm not. Go.
7.45.
No.
7.45.
Oh,
they
please
almost
watch
gave
something
this.
Else, please.
They almost gave this an 8, which would be the equivalent of a 4-star match.
What are we doing? What's happened? What has happened?
And it legitimately sucked. And it was only downhill from here on this show.
It didn't get better.
Because this wasn't even the worst match. I don't know how you feel. Oh, I got one that was worse than this, Rich. I got one that was worse than this.
I think we might have the same. We'll see as we get on.
So next up, we get not Brian Pillman Jr. Oh, no. He's putting his father behind him. He is now Lexus King. And do you know how this man is putting his father behind him, Rich? By no longer cosplaying Flying Brian, but instead cosplaying the loose cannon Brian Pillman.
No, but Joe, you're wrong. Because he came out in a throne this time. So they slid a throne in the middle of the ring, and Lexus King left the throne.
Well, not in the middle of the ring.
It wasn't a throne in the middle of the ring. It came in the entranceway. So then he sat out of the throne and started walking towards the entranceway. And then the camera got real close, and he got up to that camera and said, "Brian Pillman is dead. Long live Lexus King."
That would be great if you weren't just ripping off your father from 5 years later as opposed to 5 years earlier now. This man is wearing Brian Pillman-esque clothing, has his hair, and even carries around the little walking stick.
He does have the walking
that his
stick.
father used to carry around.
You're right.
Or a little staff or whatever. He's basically just doing the loose cannon era of Brian Pillman. He's not leaving Brian Pillman behind. He's just doing a different version of Brian Pillman than he's been doing for the last, 8 years or whatever, however long he's been around. And here's the other problem with this. He still fucking sucks. He's still Brian Pillman Jr.
The only thing that was good about Brian Pillman Jr. was that he was Brian Pillman Jr., and now he's not Brian Pillman Jr., now he's Lexus King, and he's still Brian Pillman Jr., who's not very good as a professional wrestler. So yeah, I was blown away when I saw people talking about, oh my God, what a presentation for Lexus King. He has star written all over him. This looks like a future star. And I'm like, all right, I got to check this out at least to see what they did differently. No, he looks the same. He wrestles the same. He had a boring 4-minute match and it was over. And I was the same way I've been the last 7 years that I've watched Brian Pillman Jr. All right, well, He's still not very good, and then I moved on with my life. And I could not believe I saw the feedback on, oh my God, AEW just dropped the ball with this guy. They had no idea how to present Brian Pillman Jr. NXT has made him into a star on one night. And I'm like, what the fuck are you idiots watching? What are you watching? What are you talking about?
He isn't any good. He's never been any good.
How slow was this match, man? Slow headlocks and slow, 1995 WWF main event style. Just not good at all.
He has never executed well, ever. And I've watched this guy in MLW, on the indies. I've seen his whole career. And he's never been any good. And if he wasn't who he was, he wouldn't even have a career. Let's be honest. This guy would never make it wrestling if he wasn't Pillman's kid. Because he doesn't have anything. And oh, by the way, he's 30 years old. This is who he is. This is not some spry youngster coming up, learning the ropes. He's 30.
Right, and he's had multiple opportunities in multiple big places. He's had opportunities on the indies. He's had opportunities in MLW, had opportunities in AEW, had opportunities aplenty for Brian Pillman Jr., yet none of them have been, and you see this, and he's the same as he's always been, but now he's got a weird beard.
Now he's loose cannon.
Right.
Instead of Flying Brian. That's all. It's
so
funny.
Yeah, anybody that's out there telling you that they created a star on one night is lying to you. They are lying.
This is what I mean. We need to speak the truth about this awful NXT show because people just lose their fucking minds when it comes to this NXT. Yeah, I can't believe some of the takes you see when it comes to this this NXT show. And it's like, look, I know a lot of this wrestling media, they're afraid of their own shadow when it comes to talking about WWE. I get it. You know what I mean? And more than anything else, they're afraid of their customer base and their listeners, and they don't want to run people off. And we've never been afraid. I don't give a shit what you think of I'm here to give you my opinions. And this show fucking sucks. And it always sucks. And this was somehow worse than last year's show.
During the match, by the way, if you're wondering what apparently the way that they're going to do this with the Pillman thing, or Lexis King is, and I don't know if this is a one-time deal or they're going to keep on going on, but they basically just spent the entire match telling you how horrible of a human being Brian Pillman's father was the whole time.
Right.
Booker T goes, I've never heard anybody give a good word about Brian Pillman. I'm like, whoa, that's a lot. And then Vic Joseph said, when your father's not home, ever, it leads you to be some ways. And I'm like, what are we doing here?
I mean, that's the gimmick where he's like disavowing his father. And I guess if he's okay with it, then whatever.
Yeah, it's just,
but
it was weird.
It's weird, though.
We had Brian Pillman is dead from his son, which is whatever. That's fine. But then, like Vic Joseph being like, he was never home and he was on the road and he was a bad father. And Booker T being like, nobody ever had a good word about that Brian Pillman guy. I'm like, whoa, all right.
But here's the thing. If you're disavowing him, why are you still look exactly like him?
Right.
And are presenting yourself exactly like him? That's the weird thing. And he beat Dante Chen, who, the next round of cuts. Yeah, I might hide my phone.
Dante might want to get that resume going, yeah.
From Dante Chen. They obviously don't see much in Dante Chen. But it's also, Rich, a lot of this stuff, too, is WWE fans who hate AEW. They're going to go overboard with anybody.
Oh, they got to get one over on them. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's you have to understand that a lot of this praise isn't genuine. A lot of it is they just want to stick it to AEW and make it like WWE is this great star making machine. And anybody who AEW leaves AEW, obviously they had to have dropped the ball. So they have to. So there's a lot of that with this. Okay. A lot of it, too, is people just aren't great analysts and they don't have good eyes for talent. But a lot of it is just people who are trying to stick it to AEW because they don't like AEW or they're just, big WWE fans. But, I mean, he's Brian Pillman Jr. We know the deal. He just isn't very good.
Do not anybody that's telling you that he's completely transformed his career and he's a star is lying to you. That he's exactly what you've seen of him, just in a slightly new coat of paint, or like you said, an updated version of Brian Pillman Jr., loose cannon Brian Pillman as opposed to fly-in Brian. So
next he'll do the Stampede version of Brian Pillman and claim that he doesn't want to be like his father anymore. And then he'll do the Yellow Dog. We'll see the Yellow Dog at some point.
Yellow Dog. Hollywood Blonde. Well, he already did the Hollywood Blonde. Shit. All right. Yeah, he's kind of running out. Yeah, he's down to Yellow Dog. He's down to Yellow Dog and Stampede is all he's got left, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we'll get every version eventually as this man desperately doesn't want to be like his father, yet constantly is exactly like his father.
Tries to escape his father's shadow by being exactly like his father, but worse.
With the weird drawn-on beard, like it's Carlos Boozer's hairline. Whatever's going on with that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so weird.
So speaking of just overdoing it with people who jump. Jade Cargill made yet another appearance. This time, Rich, though, she did not step out of a limousine, which
She was
is all they've
sitting
done
this
with her
time.
so far.
She was sitting.
This time she got up and she stood and, she presented herself. And once again, the praise that people are heaping. Oh, this is how you present a star. Oh, my God. She looks amazing in WW. She looks exactly the same.
She just sits in various places and sometimes gets up and sometimes walks out of places. But
nothing has changed
No.
with her presentation. Not a single thing.
she's wearing the
from when
exact
she
same
was
stuff
with
she wore
AEW.
every time backstage at AEW when she told
Yes.
Tony to cut the shit. She looks exactly
Yes.
the same. There's no
Same
difference.
hair, same clothes, same look, right? But see, this is brilliant by WWE, and I'm probably surprising you right now, Rich. You know why this is brilliant? So they're not letting her wrestle, which is like
No.
they know she can't do.
Right.
They know she can't do it. What is the one thing universally that everyone praises about Jade Cargill?
Her look.
Her look and her presence. So what has WWE done? Just presented her. Here she is.
Right.
She's got great presence.
Look at this person. Look at her.
Now-
All right, now she's going to go away. But
Yeah. So it's like they know she can't wrestle. They're probably working with her, and I assume she's down there working in the PC with Robbie Brookside or whoever the fuck. Okay. But based on their work with some of the people on this show, I'm not confident that they're going to turn Jade Cargill around. Where do we get to Carmen Petrovic? But anyway, so they know she can't wrestle, so they don't let her wrestle, which is smart. They know she can't talk because we've heard her attempt to cut promos. She's a below average promo, which is why all she ever said in AEW was cut the shit, Tony, because there was nothing else there, right? So they just let her stand there and look good, which is the one outstanding feature of her that we know is at a star level. Her
right,
presence.
they've accentuated the positives and hid the negatives. The positives looks good. The negatives, everything else. And they've
Everything else.
Yeah, right. And they've nailed
And
it so far.
people are losing their minds. Like WWE has reinvented the wheel with her. She's exactly the same presentation as she was in AEW, minus the horrendous matches. She's had like one good singles match in her life, and it was the last one on the way out the door. But yeah, so we got another dose of Jade Cargill. We had to listen to this again about how great she's being presented, even though she's exactly the same.
Just sitting in chairs. Yeah, she's sitting on a throne this time. It was kind of like a
And then
lot
she
of
stood
thrones
up.
on this show. And then
Yeah.
she stood up.
And she looks great. Look, she has great presence. We all know that. I would never knock that. Kalani Jordan
Yeah.
versus Ariana Grace. I mean,
Joe, you forgot to mention this is a breakout tournament semifinal match. So please.
yes, it was.
NXT
I
breakout
want to
tournament.
get to the other semifinal because I have a lot to say about that one. This one, I don't have much to say. These are two extremely average pro wrestling trainees who aren't anywhere close to ready to being on a main roster and quite frankly shouldn't even be on this show. That's my summation of Kalani Jordan and Ariana Grace. Now Grace, I believe, isn't that Santino's
That's
kid?
Santino's daughter. Yeah, that's Santino's daughter.
You think she'd be a little better at this point?
She's not very good.
Um,
Yeah, she's green as grass. I know that she hasn't had that many matches, but she doesn't look like she has any sort of instincts whatsoever. I think Kalani Jordan, she's not good, but I can see it with, I see that there's something there. There's a gem of something there. Grace, who is weird because she's trained in a lot of stuff. I know she's trained in fighting and has a fight background and stuff, and has, obviously, as we said, Santino's daughter, so it makes sense. She's almost 30 and she's not good. She's 28 years old. Would you believe that she's 28?
I mean, she's been around. It's not like some of these other people on NXT are literal rookies. Like Kalani Jordan, I think, has like
right.
20
Kalani
matches.
Jordan's got like 7 matches under her belt or something like that. It's some ridiculously low number
Carmen
of matches.
Petrovic has like 10 matches or something.
Right.
Ariana Grace has been outside of the system before. And then, so, I mean, it's not like she's a literal rookie like some of these other people. And, it's like, but like with Kalani Jordan, obviously if you want me to say something nice, I do think she shows some personality and things like that. She's got that part of it down, but yeah, obviously super green. Now listen to me. This was like
This is
peak
Kobashi. This is Kobashi
Yeah.
Masawa. compared
This
to
was
the other
this
one.
was peak Minami Toyota compared to Lola Vice versus Carmen Petrovic. Okay, Can we just skip to that? I'm dying to talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about both breakout tournament matches here. So Kalani Jordan moves on to the finals of the breakout tournament that will be concluded at next week's Halloween Havoc Night 2.
I could sit here and tell you how putrid Carmen Petrovic is. She is one of the worst pro wrestlers currently on television, maybe the worst. But what good does that do when, as I pull it up, this was her 17th match.
Yeah.
17. Of course she's not good. Of course she looks like shit. Of course she looks untrained. Because essentially, she is. She's only had 17 matches. And, again, like I said, she's not in there with Aja Kong, okay? She's in there with Lola Vice, who has had 38 matches. This is the blind leading the blind. And it looked every bit of it. I didn't think that we could top the Roxanne Perez, Kiana James debacle that opened the show, right? And then we have the little, 2-star fucking Brian Pillman Jr. match and the little 2-star Kalani Jordan match. And then later in the show, we get this match. This is like a legitimate fucking dud. 0-star match. Awful. If these were veteran wrestlers, it's like a fireable offense how bad this was. But because they're literal rookies who don't know what the fuck they're doing and don't belong on TV to begin with, like, how bad can you rip it? Is it really fair to Lola Vice and Carmen Petrovic, who's no Drazen Petrovic? I can tell you that.
Oh no! The least skilled Petrovic that I know, for sure.
Which I think she's Croatian. She might actually be. Well, no, yeah. So she might actually have taken that name because of Drazen Petrovic, right?
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so maybe I like her now. So. But I wish she would
Bosnia,
throw a kick without falling. Yeah, I wish she could throw a kick without falling down. But then,
yeah, no, but it's like it's almost cruel to describe how bad this was.
Right,
like,
it's a match that should be taking place in a warehouse while Robbie Brookside, like you mentioned earlier, looks on and goes, "All right, guys, stop. Here we go. Here's what I would do in this situation, or here's what you should probably do." It's that type of match that is being aired on national television on USA. In front of millions of people or whatever, or 700,000 people.
And I assure you, they probably practiced this match.
Oh, God, yes.
And it's like, they only went 3.5 minutes, and it felt like 30.5 minutes. You had Carmen Petrovic throwing kicks and falling down. You had, and here's another problem with NXT, especially with a lot of these people who aren't too deep into their training. They send them out. They don't just send them out there on TV to do basic holds, like Level Up. If you watch Level Up, they don't do anything above their pay grade. They do arm bars. They slap on a hold. They, maybe a hip toss if they want to get crazy, right? And that's fine for the experience level that those people are at on Level Up. That's exactly what they should be doing, right? But when they put them on NXT on this show, you get Carmen Petrovic out there, all 17 matches in her life, doing all this shit that's way above her head. Like doing these fancy karate kick corner kicks and then kicking Vice out into the center of the ring. And then Vice is doing like a forward roll for some reason, which you shouldn't do off of a getting kicked in the head as a bump. And then Petrovic tries to throw like a missile drop kick and misses by 10 feet. And it just looks like fucking amateur hour. And do you know why it looks like amateur hour?
They're amateurs.
Because they're fucking amateurs.
Right. They're amateurs that are doing Michinoku Pro matches for some reason in NXT. And it's like, they don't know how to do anything. Learn the basics and then start worrying about all those other shit, guys. Come on, man.
They're doing all these spots they can't handle. And then you got people going, "Oh, NXT, it's on and popping." No, it fucking sucks. It sucks. It's torture watching this garbage because these people aren't ready. And it's not their fault. What is Carmen Petrovic supposed to say? No, don't put me on TV. No, I don't want that. Of course they're going to, and it exposes them badly. But, somehow people eat this shit up. But, yeah, the breakout tournament matches were an utter fucking disgrace. None of these people are breaking out. None of them are breaking out, Rich.
They're not breaking out anytime soon. No, it's gonna be a while till any of them break out, and I'd venture to guess none of them. Kalani Jordan of all might be the only one that breaks out, and I wouldn't put
maybe. At least she's got some personality.
Yeah. But I wouldn't bet on it, but if anybody of these four are going to break out, it might be Kalani
none of these
Jordan.
people are going to be fucking having good matches. That's for certain.
No.
Because none of them are ready to even have basic matches. All right, so Chase U wins the tag titles.
Real quickly, we forgot to mention that Kiana James in her handbag, there were bricks. Now, they said they were bricks. Kiana James is throwing around this handbag. She's a very strong woman, apparently, because she was throwing around this handbag like this was nothing. And she took the Yoshi Tonic on top of the bricks, and then Roxanne Perez, got the bag and opened it up and threw these bricks out. They bounce. They're pretty bouncy bricks, I'll tell you that. And there you go. So they were bricks, and she revealed that her bag was filled with bricks. Great.
Yeah, and I don't know what kind of bricks those were, because it looked like the foam that was in the fucking kiddie pool.
They bouncy bricks, and neither of these people had any issues. No exertion lifting this handbag filled with bricks to get it open.
Didn't Roxy do her flippy do move on the bag with the bricks?
Yeah, they landed on the bricks. So yeah, she presumably took the bump onto the bricks. And then
Rich, she can't execute that move. Like, how many times are we going to see her do that move horribly? Anyway, Chase U wins the tag titles from Fugazi, Tony D'Angelo, and Channing 2 Stacks of Dimes, next Lorenzo. I guess this was the best match other than the main event. This was actually a functional match with people who vaguely looked like professional wrestlers. Like, because Andre Chase is pretty good. Even though he works to the gimmick, Duke Hudson knows what he's doing. And by NXT trainee standards, D'Angelo and Lorenzo aren't completely clueless like the rest of these people. So I can't really rip this match. I can't tell you I liked it. I can't tell you it was good, but was it like a 2 3/4 star match? Yeah.
Yeah,
What'd
those
you
guys,
think?
everybody involved in the match was fine. Everybody involved in the actual bell-to-bell of the match was fine. The outside, though, was kind of bizarre. You had JC Jane and Thea Hale, and JC Jane's like a part of Chase U now, but she doesn't quite belong, and she's corrupting Thea Hale or whatever. So multiple times throughout this match, she was getting in the way, JC Jane was, and kind of screwing things up for Chase U. And you thought the gimmick was going to be that she was going to cost Chase U this match, and they were going to go, "You're kicked out of Chase U" or whatever. And then she did fuck up, and then they won the matches. They won the match.
Well, no. She wanted to help Andre Chase cheat,
right?
And he wouldn't cheat.
Okay.
And then you're like, oh, well, this is how the fake Italians are going to win,
right.
And then, but then they won. But
they
then
just won anyway. Right.
And then there was no, like, in the post-match, JC Jane, how you doing? She just celebrated with them. There wasn't any kind of friction or anything like that. I tell you, Toxic Attraction 3 has won me over.
Yeah, good for you.
I used to bag on her a lot. She's got a unique look, like Jim Ross would say, and JL might be into it. It was a functional match, which is a high compliment when it comes to NXT. Believe me. Next we had
So I think before this actually happened, though, we had a backstage. Yeah. I want to say it was this
tarot card reading, was it? Or
no, there was a tarot card reading before. Yeah, in between all this stuff, there was multiple segments on the show about Carmelo Hayes and who done it, if he attacked Trick Williams or not, or did he, and so there's a big who done it here. So you have, doing his best RJ City impression, Vic Joseph, interviewing, right? That was 100% an RJ City ripoff, right? Or is that just Vic Joseph? Is that just what he looks like?
Vic Joseph, yeah. I mean, he's just.
It had some RJ City stuff to it. I don't know. I thought that was a little shot across the bow at old RJ, but well, hey EW there. But anyway, so there's a lot of segments backstage where Carmelo's getting interviewed, and he's like, "I didn't do that," or interview over. I'm sick of this questioning, or whatever. So he leaves. Later in the night, I'm just gonna skip ahead, lump this all together. Why not? The guest hosts of Halloween Havoc, Shotzi and Scarlett, are dressed up as twins from The Shining, I believe, is what they were doing. And they said that because there's tarot cards backstage. This is all real. I assure you, I am not making this up. How can I make all this up? There's no way I can make this all up. Randomly, Carmelo's backstage. The women are backstage in their little girl outfits, and they go, "The tarot cards are pointing at you."
Right.
In the idea that
because the idea is everyone
telling them that he attacked Trick Williams. So there you go.
Right. Which is how the story's going to end, obviously. But it's just so stupid.
I can't put into words how annoying all this was. But also then we had a spin the wheel, make the deal segment where
I'm a grown man trying to watch this. I'm a grown functioning adult watching this fucking horse shit.
So the Creed brothers are come backstage, and Shotzi and Scarlett are back there in front of the wheel. And the Creed brothers are like, yeah, we want a shot at Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo next week on NXT Halloween Havoc. And then they go, all right, but we got to spin the wheel, make the deal, spin the wheel.
With their exaggerated Halloween voices again.
So, all right.
Yeah.
So they go, all right, let's do it. And then Ivy, go there. So Ivy now comes in there and spins the wheel. It makes the wheel noise or whatever. It lands on tables, ladders, and scares. And Joe, in the most blood-curdling way possible, and I wish I had this segment, I would play it for everybody if I could. I'm sure I could find it if I want. Shotzi and Scarlett, I nearly threw my remote through the TV and just said, I don't need this anymore. I'm done. I'm over this.
Yeah.
They go, tables, ladders, and scares. I was like, fuck this. I'm sick of this.
Rich, people like this. Can you believe that there's people who enjoy this? And they're like over the age of 10?
Oh my God.
It's baffling. Wait till I get to the punchline of this fucking segment. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Tables, ladders, and scares.
It's so bad. I'm trying to find it so I can really put into words just how ridiculous it was. You won't be able to hear it, but you remembered it, unfortunately. Let me see if it's available on.
You look for that.
I can't see if it's. You know what? I don't think it's available, and you know what? That's fine. We forgot to mention as well. New Year's Day played a song at the beginning of the show, and then played Lyra Valkyria, I think, or they played some song called.
You were familiar with this goth band?
No, God, no, fuck no. I don't know who these people are. Are you kidding me? No, I just wrote it down on my notes.
Said it like you knew them.
No, I don't know who New Year's Day is.
Like New Year's Day, I preferred their older material.
Playing their hit song that we all know, of course.
I was more into them before they were signed, but New Year's Day was here. And
before they got on Atlantic Records, I was a big fan, but
they've
lost a little bit of their edge. But
they sold out. But listen, we all need to make a buck. And they performed their smash hit "Vampire"
with a Y, instead of an I.
Of course, it's "Vampire" with a Y. Why wouldn't it be?
So unfortunately, that segment is not available on YouTube, so I cannot play it to the. Much of the chagrin of all you listening at home. I should mention there was another tarot card, then we can skip the tarot card parts. There was another tarot card reading with Metaphor, Noam Dar's crew, and their
Metaphor.
Yeah.
Metaphor.
Dash.
Get it?
Yes.
Because there's 4 of them, Rich.
Uh-huh.
There's 4 of these people.
Yeah.
Metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, F-O-U-R.
Yes, to indicate the one, because I'm looking at this thumbnail and it has all members of Metaphor. And there's 1, 2, 3, and exactly like you said, 4 people.
There is in fact 4. It's Noam Dar and 3 geeks that are going nowhere.
Chikara Jackson's one of them. I don't remember the other one, and I don't remember the other
one.
Mensa. Aura Mensa is one of them, and then I don't remember the other one.
So don't worry, you don't need to learn the names of these people.
It's fine.
They're not long for this career.
They're looking at tarot cards backstage, and Noam Dar's doing his Alicia Fox thing. You know what I mean? Where the only reason he's employed with that company is because he talks like that. And in the background, Akira Tozawa steals the NXT Heritage Cup.
Yes. No, I actually I saw someone today say that Akira Tozawa knocks it out of the park every time he's on the screen in WWE. Yeah. So, people like this shit, Rich. Mm-hmm. They enjoy. There are people who genuinely enjoy this fucking show.
Joe, it very nearly beat an AEW in the demo this week.
There's
it's going
close. It's going to be beating NXT. It's going to be beating AEW soon regularly because of the paths that they're on. But listen, there's pro wrestling that I hate with like every burning passion of my soul, like Choco Pro, where they wrestle in the dentist office. That Emi Sakura gimmick.
Right, yeah,
that's like the worst pro wrestling I've ever seen in my life. It really is. I've never seen anything worse than Choco Pro, but I get why people like it. It's quirky. It's like, I think it's the fucking drizzling shits, and it's the worst thing I've ever seen. The Junkyard Lucha. The fuck's that called? Zona 23 or whatever the fuck it's called?
Zona 23, yep.
It's awful. I can't fucking stand it. It's junk. But do I understand why people like it? Of course. It's guys maiming each other in a junkyard. I understand the appeal. It doesn't go over my head why people enjoy it. I just think it sucks. and I don't want anything to do with it, right? Lucha Underground, can't stand it. I get why people like it. It's got that comic book appeal, I guess, or, whatever the fuck. I go right down the line. I could tell you a million kinds of wrestling I don't like, but I understand the appeal. I cannot pinpoint why anyone enjoys NXT. I don't get it. How do you not think that this is like the worst shit? I don't understand. It drives me insane every time we do this. How can you watch this and think it's anything other than fucking horrendous on purpose? Like, I feel like it's bad on purpose. Like, I think it's like a joke I'm not in on. Is that what it is, Rich? Is it like so bad on purpose that I'm missing the joke? Is it tongue-in-cheek? Is this whole thing tongue-in-cheek?
It might be going over my head as well, because it's the only possible explanation, because I'm the same way. And I didn't want to talk about NXT. Like I said, I didn't want to talk about Halloween Havoc. I'm perfectly fine not talking about it. But when I see people praise it, and I know that it's not good when I watch it, I'm like, all right, maybe I'm wrong this time. Let me watch it again. And it's just, I don't know. At some point, something's got to give here. Something's got to give. This show's either not going to be the worst fucking shit I've ever seen in my life, or people need to stop pretending that it's great. I don't know. Something's got to give first, and I don't know what it's going to be.
I know, like, this is something you shouldn't do or say. I think less of you if you say you like this. Like, I can't help it. Like, I think less of you if you genuinely enjoy this. So next up,
it's not only bad from a wrestling standpoint, it's bad from a show standpoint. Like, if this is what you're finding, please, dear God, watch something else. There's plenty of channels. There's 17 streaming networks and apps and stuff. Dear God, watch something else. If you're a wrestling fan and you like this, I don't know what to tell you. You like different wrestling than me. If you're somebody that watches no other wrestling but really loves NXT, dear God, watch something else. For God's sakes, watch something else. That's the thing.
I think this is like the worst TV show forget the wrestling aspect of it. Just as a television show, it's awful. Rich, they do this lights out match with Blair Davenport and Gigi Dolan. They literally turn the lights off.
Right, Shotzi goes, lights out, and the lights go out.
Halloween voice time.
And the lights go out.
They pull this comically large, like, light switch.
A giant lever, yeah.
Like a giant fucking lever that you would see on, like, Double Dare. Like a big, giant fake lever, like you'd see on a Nickelodeon game show in 1998, right? That isn't connected to anything, right?
Yeah, I'm supposed to believe this 40-foot lever is like the main breaker for the entire building.
Next, they're going to stick their hands up a comically large nose and look for a flag inside of the slime snot, right? That's what's next. It's like this Double Dare fucking lever. And they pull it, and I'm waiting for them to push it back up, because a lights out match, AEW does these, and by the way, I hate them there. I hate the lights out stip. It doesn't make any sense. How does it not count? It's happening right in front of me. I've always hated
this.
That
Is
stip.
Unsanctioned, but here's our referee and our ring announcer and
here's
our
our ref, our ring announcer, our video pat. Yeah, I hated them in the territories. I hate them in AEW, but this wasn't even a lights out match. They never turned the fucking switch back on. They wrestled in the fucking dark.
It was
Rich.
quite literally a lights out match.
That's not how any of this works. That's not what a lights out match is. This lights out match, they turn the fucking lights off, and good, because I don't want to watch Blair Davenport and Gigi Dolan wrestle anyway, but they wrestled with the fucking lights off. And I don't remember a thing about it, because I'm just like, what the fuck is this company? It's a literal lights out match? They're going to wrestle in the fucking dark? With like this purple hue? Like, there was like a little bit of light, so I guess they could see each other, like purplish light. Say something, Rich. What the fuck was this?
Of course. So when the light, so it was like the pitch black match. If you remember the Mountain Dew pitch black match with Wyatt and LA Knight, it was like that. And as usual, it's an NXT plunder. We already had NXT Plunder match earlier, so we had another NXT Plunder match. This time they hit each other with WWE branded kendo sticks, WWE branded trash cans, and Gigi Dolan took a bump about 4 feet through a table that perfectly split in half, a WWE branded black table that perfectly split in half, and then she rolled around like she was electrocuted, and then the match ended. So,
oh my God, electrocuted, rolling around like she was electrocuted. People like this.
Adults,
grown adults enjoy this as entertainment.
And then the main event, which was completely just different than all this other stuff. It was just 2 people that wrestled for a title and had a pretty
and it was
good match.
fine. And let's not go crazy. It wasn't like it was, it was fine. It was like a 3.5 star match. And Valkyria wins the title. But it was, you know what? My God, did I appreciate it just for being a fucking wrestling match where people who were professionals wrestled like professionals and had a good match.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What a change from the rest of this.
It was like a complete, like, you had to rub your eyes and be like, what am I watching? A professional wrestling show here? What's going on? And yeah, it was just 2 people that wrestled, and they wanted to determine which one was better than the other for a title, and then one of them won the title. And a bit of a surprise that Valkyria, wins the title, defeats Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch probably done with NXT for now. They better hope that some of that Becky Lynch dust that she's been spraying all over NXT and has done well for ratings carries over to whoever the next WWE main roster person that comes in, or they've put over the next wave to kind of keep them up, because she's been doing great, really moving the ratings a lot. And I do wonder if we start to see a drop now, if whoever that next person is going to be, because she's been more successful than pretty much any of the other ones. I mean, Seth Rollins has popped that 1 number. Charlotte, as we've mentioned, never ever pops a number there. Dom has popped some numbers.
Quote unquote Dominic.
Yeah, quote unquote Dominic did pop some numbers, but sustained popping numbers plus feeling like she was actually like a big time star on the show. That's what Becky Lynch filled, and yeah, it appears like she's out. I mean, now she doesn't have the NXT title. There's pretty much no reason for her to be in NXT. So I'd imagine that she's done, and we'll see whoever the next person that they move in here is. But
night 2 cannot be worse than this. It can't. But I said last year's couldn't be fucking worse. Let me pull up last year's. Actually, let me.
Yeah, I'm actually going to find out what the card for Halloween Havoc night 2 is going to be.
You find night 2.
Yeah, I'll get you all squared away. Here we go. All right, I got it ready for you. Here, NXT Women's Breakout Tournament Final Match: Kalani Jordan versus Lola Vice. Mr. Stone is going to be facing Braun Breaker. We forgot to mention that Mr. Stone went to go visit Von Wagner in the PT. Von Wagner's can barely walk at this point because he got beaten so badly by Braun Breaker. So Mr. Stone says, I know I'm going to get killed next week, but I'm going to do it for you. And Von Wagner goes, thank you. And he goes, I'm going to do it for you because you're my friend. And Von Wagner goes,
do it for him.
You're my friend? Mr. Stone goes, yes, I'm your friend.
Yes.
Great. Spin the wheel, make the deal, tables, ladders, and scares. The Creed brothers versus Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo. Dirty Dom Mysterio versus Nathan Frazier for the NXT North American Championship. WWE Women's Tag Team titles. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven versus Chase U, Thea Hale, and JC Jane. That is going to be horrible.
Yeah, it's going to be horrendous.
God.
Yeah.
Tiffany Stratton versus Fallon Henley, who did a fantastic Tiffany Stratton impression, by the way.
Yes, she did.
She was backstage doing the Tiffany Stratton and nailed it.
She was Tiffany Stratton for Halloween.
Yes, for the record. Yeah, she was. And then the main event, Ilya Dragunov defending the NXT title against Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah, I mean, that show's going to be better than this week's.
Yeah, that's like the Creeds versus Garza and Carrillo, even though it's tables, ladders, and scares will be better. Stratton and Henley will be okay. Dragunov and Hayes will be good. Dirty Dom and Nathan Frazier will be fine. Yeah, it's gonna be better than this one.
It's gonna be a better show. So last year's, and now that I'm looking at it and my memory's been refreshed, I'm correct. This year's is significantly worse than last year's was somehow, even though it was my worst show of the year. 5-way ladder match to open the show. Wes Lee, Carmelo Hayes, Nathan Frazier, Ora Mensa, and Von Wagner. And that was like fine. It was a WWE ladder match. And the main event, which was Braun Breaker, Ilya Dragunov, and JD McDonough in the 3-way. Remember that one?
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah,
it was fine. It was everything in the middle that was awful. The Apollo Crews Grayson Waller casket match. Remember that one?
Yes. That was not good.
the Julius Creed, Damon Kemp ambulance match.
Oh, yes. My least. Oh, I fucking hate ambulance matches. The worst.
God, that was fucking
Watching
horrible.
guys put guys on a gurney and walk them towards the entranceway is so bad. Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah.
The
is he going to be able to wheel him all the way? No. It's like, why would I want to watch this?
The Mandy Rose Alba Fire match, but the thing about this, aside the fact that Mandy Rose was in it and she's fucking terrible, and even Cage Match gave it a 4. If you remember, they made Alba Fire made Toxic Attraction 1, 2, and 3 go through like a fucking haunted house to get to the match. Remember? So,
you're right. Yeah.
All of those segments where they're like getting chased by zombies and shit. Remember that?
Yes.
So that was like this year they replaced it with the tarot cards. So on top of all those awful haunted house segments where like, remember like the organ was playing itself, like no one was sitting at the organ, but the keys were being pressed and there were like zombies chasing them and they were screaming and running away. And then Toxic Attraction 2 and 3 were like murdered or whatever. And then Mandy Rose was the last one left, and then she had to face Alba Fire in a championship match. And then, of course, Rich, the worst of them all.
The worst match.
I know you remember this one.
Oh yeah, there's a YouTube video about it too. I will try to link it in the show notes here. I believe our entire segment on that is up on YouTube. It is Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez in a, what was the stipulation here? I don't remember.
Oh, you remember Weapons Wild,
Weapons
Rich.
Wild. Of course it was a Weapons Wild.
Yep. One of the worst matches you'll ever see. Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade. Where is Cora Jade, by the way? Actually, let's not say the name 3 times. They might bring her back.
Yeah.
I'm happy without her.
About it.
We don't need any Cora Jade in our lives. We definitely don't need that. Between the Weapons Wild match, the haunted house,
I forgot the haunted
match,
house really dragged that entire thing down because that was
really did. It was
7
so
segments during the show, and it was like, what's going on over there? And it's like, yeah, it was awful, just the worst shit ever.
The organ playing itself, the fucking, just totally ridiculous. And I remember it made us melt down so badly that we put it on YouTube, and this year's I think was somehow managed to be worse because you only had the one decent match, the main event, and the other show had 2 decent matches, and you had all these untrained fucking people on that. Yeah, this was worse to me. What do you think? Which one do you think was the worst show?
It was this one. This one was so bad. It was just so, from the minute the show started with the goth metal band screaming at me, I was just being yelled at and screamed at the entire time. Like audio wise, visual wise, just, I'm sure last year's was bad and maybe it's just a recency bias, but this one felt worse in all ways.
I think this one was
because there was
worse.
some professional wrestling that was okay on the last Halloween Havoc.
All right. So do you want to completely lose faith in humanity? I've been saving this for the end of the review.
Yeah, why not?
This fucking show.
Oh no. God. Okay. Let me. I'm sitting down, but I sat down again. All right.
This fucking show on Cage Match is currently sitting. You can't, even though I'm going to give you a high number, you would lowball this. This show is sitting at 9.21 on Cage Match currently. It is currently one of the top 100 professional wrestling shows to ever take place in the history of the world. NXT Halloween Havoc Night 1.
You got
Care to comment, Rich Craig?
You gotta be lying.
No. Look it up. 9.21 top 100 all time. Of ever. Here's the vote breakdown. 2 people gave it a 6.
Okay.
1 person gave it a 7. Both way too high, by the way.
Yeah.
19 people gave it a 9. And 20 human beings
thought this was the perfect wrestling show.
That this was the perfect wrestling show.
It will never get better than NXT Halloween Havoc Night 1 2023.
You can match it, but you can't top it. 20 people scored this show a perfect 10. A 10. This show. Kalani Jordan. Carmen Petrovic falling over herself. She can't even stand. She falls down when she completes moves. 20 human beings scored this a perfect 10. And think this is peak pro wrestling that you cannot top.
I'm looking at one of these.
What the fuck is happening here?
I'm looking at one of these 10 out of 10 reviews. This is great. You'll love this one. I don't think this is an AI written one either, because some of these you read and it's like absolutely fantastic wrestling show from top to bottom with indubitable ratings.
I read all of them.
Okay. Did you remember Nitos? Nitos, Nitos says 10 out of 10. Quote, "Can we just take a minute to appreciate NXT's women's division? These girls rock. Most of them are below average in the ring, besides Lyra, Roxanne, and Blair, but man, they put so much effort and do everything to make this division interesting and compelling. The creativity and character work from those girls is top-notch. They breathe wrestling. Props to the NXT management, too. They give so much exposure to the division and do so well to make it all meaningful. As far as the show goes, it was great. Fantastic job was done to make the Halloween theme purposeful and engaging. Absolutely stunning main event was the icing on the cake. 10 out of 10 from Nitos."
How about this guy?
I love the below average in the ring, but they try really hard. 10 out of 10.
Yeah. How about bunch of letters and numbers here? You ready for this
one? What do we got?
Of course, a 10. Quote, "NXT proving time and time again why they are head and shoulders over any other wrestling show or brand at the moment, and today was the nail in the coffin. An absolutely splendid show.
Splendid.
With every match being great.
Every match was great. I'm with her.
Every match being great to excellent with the right outcomes. The match of the night was Becky versus Lyra and had a completely different and amazing aura to it, and is for sure a women's match of the year candidate."
Oh, it's not even Becky's best match in NXT in the last month, right?
No. But that's like the least controversial thing in that review.
Yeah.
This is the thing. I read every one of them, and they're not bots.
No, these are real people.
They're not AI written. These are human beings among us. They go to work. They presumably pay bills and raise children. And they think that this fucking garbage, one of the worst shows I've ever seen, if I'm being honest, definitely bottom 10%, was a perfect 10. You can't get any better than Roxanne Perez and Kiana James in a children's plastic playground blowing spots. You can't get any better than this, Rich. This is peak pro wrestling to these people.
Are we done?
Why do we do this? Like,
I don't know. We have to. If we don't, nobody else will.
Do we have to be the only sane voices in the fucking universe with this shit?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. It seems to be that way, man. It's so weird that in the time that we've done this show, in the 10 years that we've done the show, to see how different things have come, where it felt like when we started doing this thing, everybody was doing the, I'm a high-level wrestling fan, and this stuff isn't landing for me, or this sucks, or this, not that every show was coming on and just talking about how much wrestling sucked or whatever, but it felt like most other wrestling podcasts were giving like an honest thought and a real, hey, this I like, this I didn't like, these things are good, these things are bad, like, let's review these shows. It felt like there was a lot of those. And more than not, it was people that were pretty hardcore wrestling fans doing these podcasts, doing these things. People that would watch stuff in Japan, people that would watch stuff in Mexico, people that were, for lack of a better term, kind of hipsters about some stuff. You know what I mean? Be like, that match sucked, but this indie show in front of 7 people, that was actually really great. This is the best match of the week that I saw. Not this thing on WWE's pay-per-view or whatever, but it's totally turned around in the 10 years that we've done this, to the point where now we are, it seems like, the only people on earth that still don't like stuff that we watch, that watch stuff and go, yeah, I thought that sucked, and say, hey, this is why I think it sucked, and here's my reasoning behind why I think it sucked, and I just want to let people know that it sucked. I feel like we're the only ones left, where it felt like the entire podcast game, the entire wrestling media, the wrestling analyst, it felt like that kind of was that we had just such high standards that almost impossible to meet standards with Major League Wrestling. And now we're in the fucking, I don't know, man. We are the last people on earth that are negative about anything in wrestling. And I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened over the last 10 years.
That's why we got to review these NXT shows.
That's why we got it, because no one else is going to. You're going to listen to other people that are going to tell you this was good. And it wasn't.
It's so bad.
Just can't let that happen.
So fucking bad. It's that abysmal, totally abysmal Hikaru Shida versus Ruby Soho match from Dynamite. Did you see that, Rich?
I did, and that was, again, Akira Hokuto versus, insert whatever great, when you think of a legendary Joshi wrestling match in your head, close your eyes, think of that match, boom, that was what Shida and Ruby was compared to every single one of these women's matches on the show, except for Becky and Valkyria, of course.
It definitely wouldn't have been the worst match on this show.
No.
It wasn't worse than Lola Vice versus Carmen Petrovic. That was worse. Or the Perez Kiana James thing. And that was the drizzling fucking shits. Maybe the worst match on Dynamite this year.
Yeah, so bad. A few people that I respect tweeted, maybe we should just get rid of the women's division.
Yeah.
Earnestly being like, all right, maybe we have to have a conversation about getting rid of the women's division.
Yeah. If that's your championship match. Between two people who are normally pretty good. Or, passable. Let's not get crazy.
And one of them's pretty good. The other one's...
I don't know.
The other one's been on the fumes of her reputation of being good for a very long time, even though she's not.
Is Sheeta pretty good? Is she good? I don't know. I don't know. I can't. It's depressing. I review these NXT shows and I end up depressed.
You don't do it. Don't do it next week. Just don't.
I have to watch.
No,
I'm watching
you don't.
Yes,
you
I
don't.
do.
We did our Halloween Havoc. Watch Halloween Havoc 1989 instead. Just do that.
It's going to be better though, Rich.
I think Shotzi's going to be your host again. So just so you know,
she is. And she's going to have a bunch of. She changed her little.
She had
costume
7 different costumes
break.
on this night, and she was
I
Edward Scissorhands
I really don't need it.
and
Pinhead,
and then she was one of the girls
twins
from The Shining. Yeah, it was.
The wrestlers all had fucking. Somebody was like the clown from It, Pennywise.
Yeah,
someone was. I think Roxanne Perez was Freddy Krueger.
She was Freddy Krueger. Yeah, she was Freddy.
But
Krueger.
she's like a sexy Freddy Krueger. Showing some
skin.
If you ever wanted to fuck Freddy Krueger,
right,
well,
that's what she had for you there.
Whoever thought about fucking Freddy Krueger? Yeah,
a little Freddy Krueger in booty shorts with like visible skin all over the place.
With a midriff.
Yeah,
you ever want Freddy Krueger with a midriff?
There you go.
I got the show for you.
Yeah.
So a lot of I like how Kiana James didn't bother though.
No, she's like, I'm just gonna wear my normal gear. I'm just gonna come with my normal gear, and
I'm wearing my Pornhub female boss outfit, and that's it, because that's what I wear every week, and I'm not putting on a gimmick. It's funny because Brian Pillman Jr. was his dad as the loose cannon for Halloween on this show. So
maybe he won't look like this. Maybe he won't look like that all the time. He was just playing his loose cannon, Brian Pillman, his dad, on this episode. But next week, Lexus King will look like a different guy.
Right.
Yellow Dog. Right.
Gigi Dolan was doing something weird. I don't know what the fuck she was doing.
She was Beetlejuice. She was Beetlejuice.
Okay.
She was a sexy Beetlejuice.
Oh, again, I've always wanted to fuck Beetlejuice.
Right.
So
now you got the opportunity. So.
That's right. So now, I've always wanted to see Beetlejuice presented as sexy. That's something I've always dreamed about, watching Michael Keaton in his classic role as Beetlejuice with the Zag Nuts candy bar and Alec Baldwin and Winona Ryder and the whole Gina Davis, the whole crew. See, I think TNT or TBS doing 24 hours of Beetlejuice on Saturday or something.
No, that's not that good of a movie, but so, whatever.
Well, you can watch it 24 hours starting at 2 p.m. on TBS this Saturday.
So they're doing the Christmas story gimmick with Beetlejuice?
Yes, 24 hours of Beetlejuice, Rich.
Nah, Christmas story kind of stinks too.
Little Harry Belafonte number at the end, right?
Yeah,
I get into it.
I don't like Beetlejuice.
Not a Beetlejuice guy?
Not a Beetlejuice guy, nah.
No? The snobby city folk moving into Baldwin's house. He's all annoyed, right? He's a ghost. Him and Gina Davis. They're simple country folk, Rich. They don't like this. They don't like it, you know.
Well, it sounds like you're going to be on the couch watching some.
Didn't Winona Ryder's father in that movie get canceled at some point? He's the guy from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the principal.
Oh,
I think he got canceled.
Wait, Ben Stein got canceled?
No, Ben Stein was.
Oh no, he's the teacher. The teacher. I was like, I had a heart attack. I was like, well, what did Ben Stein do?
Well, Ben Stein. Well, I mean, if you want to take it like he's canceled because he was a Republican.
Okay. But like
that doesn't count. But
yeah, right. Oh, I wasn't sure Ben Stein was like, yeah, he's a sex pest. I'd be like, whoa, really, Ben Stein? Okay.
No, but the other guy is the guy that was the principal,
and the
guy that's in Beetlejuice. Let me make sure that's the same guy because I don't want to slander. someone.
You don't want to. We canceled someone last week. Dick Justice. We canceled him, and he wasn't actually.
And he was not, in fact, canceled. So, Jeffrey Jones is his actor's name.
Okay, is he canceled?
You've seen him in a million things.
Yeah. The face looks and Howard the Duck and shit. Yeah, I've seen this guy.
Yeah. He, I believe, was canceled. In fact, he was. Yeah, Charles Dietz in Beetlejuice. Charles Dietz. Here we go on the wiki page, the criminal offenses section.
All right,
Rich.
let's lock in here. All right, what do you got?
Following leads. Oh, this is like a Mad Lib. Following leads in an investigation of Paul Rubens.
Oh my. Okay, so they were investigating Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah,
Paul
don't
Rubens.
laugh too hard because this gets dark.
Oh, okay.
Jones was arrested in 2002 for possession of child pornography and soliciting a 14-year-old boy to produce sexually explicit images between September 2000 and May 2001.
Yeah.
If you'd like to continue reading about what he's accused of, you can do that on your own time. Oh my God, this is I have to read it. No, I'm not going to read it.
Please don't read it. Let people, if they want to do their own research, please.
He paid the boy to pose nude. Oh no, I can't. I'm not reading this.
Yeah,
I can't read this. I'm reading it, but I'm not reading it out loud. He was also arrested twice for failing to update his sex offender status, first in Florida in 2004, then 6 years later in California. Pleaded guilty to the felony charges in California, receiving community service, an additional 3 years probation. How about putting him back in jail? When you read what he did, when you read what he did,
should maybe
you're going to be like, okay, how about locking him back up? Upon learning of his Jones' record, locals insisted the public should have been alerted, considering their families that visited the set, because he actually got work after that. Oh my God!
Oh no, Hollywood, come on. Hollywood, what are you doing?
Yeah. So anyway,
Beetlejuice, on TNT, great.
24 hours of Beetlejuice. Get into it.
Just
Jeffrey Jones.
Jeffrey Jones, yeah.
I mean, I know everyone listening is reading it right now. It is.
I'm not, and I don't want to. I'm good.
Fucking, yeah. I mean, my God. All right. How do we pivot from this?
Yeah, now we got to transition somehow into something else. So I don't want to be old negative Nancy here. So let's move on to something that I enjoyed. Let's talk about Impact Wrestling's Bound for Glory, Joe. Let's talk about that. Did you catch up on the Bound for Glory this week?
I watched the whole fucking show.
Okay, of course. Okay, I know you're a man who does his work. Of course, you watch Bound for Glory. So I was there live at the show. Did a instant-ish reaction live on it wasn't live, it was instant-ish reaction over at flagship patreon.com the morning after I attended the show. Bound for Glory. So that is all up there if you want my extensive thoughts and review, my live report from being at the show. But I don't know how you want to do it. I don't know if you want to do match by match. Let's talk about big picture stuff with Bound for Glory. Obviously, the big story, and I guess we'll start off with this before we get to the matches themselves and the actual event itself, was in the final segment of the show, a video played on the Jumbotron, and it was announced that Impact Wrestling would be returning to the name Total Nonstop Action, TNA. They said that, quote, "We still hear from TNA chants wherever we go. Fans have longed for TNA Wrestling, so that's what we're bringing back in 2024. TNA Wrestling, we're back." That was from Scott D'Amore, the president of Impact Wrestling. So starting at January 2024 at Hard to Kill, January 13, 2024, it'll be TNA Hard to Kill, and TNA is officially back. So what'd you make of that news of TNA back at it with the old Total Nonstop Action name?
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think it means anything. You know, what it means is this. What it means is they're going to get a couple days of press coming out of this Bound for Glory show that they weren't going to get otherwise. Because nobody was going to be talking about Bound for Glory otherwise, because nobody ever talks about these Impact pay-per-views or these TNA pay-per-views now, I guess. But, you know, because were any of the headlines, oh, Will Ospreay has match of the year contender with Mike Bailey, Alex Shelley retains Impact World title. No, the headlines were all that they're reverting to the TNA name. And so from that standpoint, did they get some publicity for a couple days? Yes, they did. Will they get some publicity again to a lesser extent when they change the name at Hard to Kill? Yes, they will. Is it going to mean anything? No, it's not going to mean a thing, because it didn't mean anything when they changed the name from TNA to Impact the first time. And it's not going to mean anything changing it from Impact to TNA. And I mean that positively or negatively. It's not going to mean anything from a positive standpoint. Everyone knows it's the same company. And I've seen some people say, oh, why would you go back to that reductive name? It meant tits and ass. It was this Vince Russo thing. First of all, there are grown adult wrestling fans who don't know that that's what TNA meant.
I made that point in my instant reaction of like, as I was saying it, I went, wait a minute. Nobody uses the term tits and ass anymore. No. I don't recall the last time I've heard people use that term tits and ass. And like you said, there's adult wrestling fans that have never once used the words TNA to mean anything else other than Total Nonstop Action.
Correct. And these are grown adult wrestling fans who might even be TNA fans who aren't even aware what those three letters meant back in the Nashville Fairgrounds weekly pay-per-view days. That's such ancient history that I don't think there's any negative connotation to the TNA name other than TNA being a tainted brand in pro wrestling for presenting some of the worst shows you'll ever see. But I think we're so far removed from that doesn't matter either. And I think, and from the positive standpoint, I don't think it means anything either. I think this is a whole big nothing other than getting a little press and a little publicity and, you know, everybody tweeting out, oh, TNA is back with an exclamation point, and everyone seems to be positive on it, but ultimately it doesn't mean a thing. And if you weren't watching Impact before, you're not going to watch it because they're changing the name back to TNA. And if you were watching Impact, you're not going to not watch it because they're changing the name back to TNA. It doesn't mean anything. Their product is going to determine their growth, period, no matter which name they use. And even if they have picked a third name that they had never used before, it still wouldn't mean anything. So to me, it's just, it's a story that, I mean, it's interesting from the standpoint of I just got used to calling it Impact after all these years. And now I'm like, oh, fuck. Now I finally get used to this.
I think we changed the header on our website because we always had, you know, it said TNA/Impact Wrestling. I added Impact Wrestling in like 2010 or whatever, 2011 when they changed. I think it was 2010. And I kept that until like easily 2020. And then finally I was like, all right, I got to just lose this TNA thing and just put Impact Wrestling. And then finally I got to put it back now. So
yeah, I finally disassociated the TNA part in my brain, and now they bring it back. But yeah, no, short answer to my long answer, I don't think it means anything.
My official ruling on it was can't hurt, might help. I don't think it'll hurt anything. I don't think anyone's that was watching Impact Wrestling is now suddenly going to say, oh, God damn it, I'm done. If they're going back to TNA, I'm not watching this thing. No one's going to do that. No one that was watching Impact is now suddenly going to stop watching. And then, like you said, nobody that was on the outside looking in. Now, maybe did you get a little bit more publicity? Maybe did you get a few more eyeballs? Did you get people that were reading press releases and going, oh, yeah, all right. Will those people check it out? They might. I don't know. They might check out Hard to Kill. They might check out a weekly show. But there's always limitations to what Impact/TNA can be. They're on Access TV. That's not a good place for growth. You're not going to get a whole lot of growth being on Access. Their core roster, their core everything is just kind of, I like a lot of stuff that Impact does or whatever, but it's not enough that's going to make people suddenly go and check out this show. I mean, I was at this show and it was sold out, and it sold out early. It sold out because of Will Ospreay. I mean, you watch that show and the guy who was over 10 times more than anybody else on the show was Will Ospreay. That's why I was at the show, was because of Will Ospreay. And it's like, yeah, if you could book Will Ospreay every week, yeah, sure. Maybe you can talk about like, oh yeah, we'll get some growth. But, at the end of the day, it's still that core TNA Impact roster. And it's, it hasn't grown in the last couple of years. It's not going to grow, So it's one of these things where, yeah, I'm officially at Can't Hurt Might Help. You might get a few more people that check it out, a few more people that go, oh yeah, all right, maybe I'll. But at the end of the day, it's just something that they wanted to do to connect their history. I know they're redoing some of their back end stuff and their website and their streaming service and whatnot. So, yeah, it's fine. It works. And as Liam Jones points out in the No Dope chat room, it's selfishly great for my own podcast brand that has TNA in all of its social media. Yes, good news for the You've Got to Be Kidding Me podcast, who for them, TNA never went away. TNA never went away. Well, at some point, they'll have to go to talk about Impact, but for right now, they're still in the TNA era, so they're pretty good for now. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like, yeah, try it. Why not? Why not? I mean, the Impact name, there's not exactly a great history attached to the Impact name either. It felt more professional at times when it was called Impact Wrestling, and it didn't have as many, hilariously awful things happen as it did when it was TNA, but whatever. Yeah. Who cares? There are people out there that do have warm, nostalgic feelings for TNA. So yeah, why don't you use them? Because you're not going to lose anything with this. So I'm exactly like you are. I'm at Can't Hurt Might Help at this point, and probably leaning more towards Can't Hurt, won't help, just whatever. It's just a different name that they can call themselves and different branding. And, they got, they got exactly what they wanted out of this. They got a bunch of publicity. They got people talking about it. They got us talking about it. They got press releases. So that's what they wanted out of it. So congratulations to them on that. It definitely worked.
Yeah. That's really what it comes down to. And what that's worth probably isn't a whole lot, but I mean, you mentioned Will Ospreay. Let's talk about him. I mean, his free agency is ramping up, and he hired Barry Bloom, the infamous pro wrestling agent. And listen, I've been trying to tell people for months that WWE was going to be heavily in play. A lot of our listeners laughed at me. I don't know if a lot of them did, but some of them did. We'd get comments on the YouTube upload and other places. Look, I've been told that WWE was going to be in play from the start. Now, is this Will Ospreay playing all sides like he should for leverage? Maybe. I don't know. Obviously, on the heels of this show and working Josh Alexander, TNA has said we'd love to have Will Ospreay, and of course
they
kick the
would.
tires.
Yes.
And you call Barry Bloom and you see what it's going to take, right? You're not going to win out. It's I mean, if you're Billy Corgan, you fucking make the phone call. It might be a short one, but you make the call.
Every company that considers themselves a major player or a player in this industry has to call Barry Bloom and just at least say, what's the price? Okay, well, that's fine. Thank you. Appreciate the time.
A little rich for my blood.
Yeah,
but
thank you.
Right. You have to.
You got to make that call and at least get the number. Maybe you put them on hold for a sec and you sit and you go, no, there's no way we can do that. Okay, sorry. Thank you. Bye. Have a great one. So.
And maybe Impact does get I mean, you saw Ed Nordhelm's tweet, this is just the beginning, with the name change going back and everything. And we got some more stuff up our sleeve and all this. I mean, who knows? Look, Will Ospreay is at the point in his life. He's 30 years old. It's time to cash in the chips. And he knows that. And he knows that every company in the world that offers contracts is going to make a major play for him. And he's about to become a millionaire. He's obviously making good money now, working, under contract in New Japan for all these years and, calling his shots, working all these other places. And I'm sure his rate isn't exactly cheap, but he's about to cash in the chips and make life-changing money. He deserves it. He's earned it. He's been the best wrestler in the world for 5 years. And this is the point in people's careers where the body starts to ache and, you're not in your 20s anymore. The 20s lifestyle of living in an apartment, bouncing around the globe, doing pro wrestling with creative freedom and hanging out with your friends and partying, your mindset changes. He met a lady. She's got a kid. So he's got a kid now. He's talked about that. He's getting serious about his life. He's getting serious about his career. And he's going to sign a multi-million-dollar deal with someone. Obviously, AEW is going to be in the mix. WWE, it's publicly known, and that's been reported, that they're hot on his trail. And he's got some decisions to make. You know, would I completely rule out Impact? No. That doesn't mean I think that he's going to go there. I would put it at less than 1%. But look at it this way. What if he decides, you know what? I'm going to let this TKO merger settle. I'm going to see how WWE kind of settles with things. I'm going to see what's going on with AEW. I'm going to sign a short-term, big-time deal with Impact, and I could be a big fish in a small pond for a while, and I can continue my freedom. I could keep working New Japan as a freelancer.
Right, which if you go to Impact and you're Will Ospreay, you call the shots, and you say, hey, I'm going to do this show, I'm going to do this show, I'm going to do this show, and they are not going to be able to say, oh, no, sir.
No, they're going to give you whatever you want.
Right.
And you're going to be their top star, right? But I don't think that's realistic. So realistically, you're really talking AEW and WWE, because as New Japan would love to keep them, I don't think they can match those offers.
I don't think
that's
financially they can hang with those guys now.
No, because he's gonna get more from WWE or AEW than people like Okada are getting in New Japan. So if New Japan, even if Will Ospreay takes a discount to stay with New Japan, well, they're going to have to push him as the top guy because they're going to be paying him top guy money, you know, and I don't think it's going to work with New Japan. And I think he's ready to, like I said, cash in the chips, and the artistic freedom portion of his career, I think he thinks is behind him, which is why he's checking off all these things off of his list. You know, he's wanted to work Impact for real. I know he did a couple short matches, many years ago. They don't count. He wanted to come to Impact and have a match of the year contender, and he did that with Mike Bailey, and he wanted to use the Styles Clash in an Impact ring, and these are dorky things that
he wanted to do a chop battle with Marufuji. He wanted to get in there and chop the fuck out of Marufuji and have Marufuji chop the fuck out of him.
Yes. So he went to Noah and wrestled Marufuji, and he headlined the Copper Box twice this year, which is something he had never done. If you look at the other Royal Quest shows, he was in the mid card. But this year he headlines it for Rev Pro, and he headlines it for New Japan at Royal Quest 3. So it's like, that's another. He worked Wembley in front of 80,000 people and got a fucking tattoo. He's accomplishing the last of these things he wants to accomplish. The Marufuji match, all these other things. And it's time to cash in. The question is, where does he end up? Obviously, I hope he ends up with AEW. Not so much because it's funny. Not necessarily because I'm dying to see him be full-time in AEW, because I'm kind of down on AEW right now. Mostly just to not see him go to WWE.
Yeah, that would be heartbreaking for me, and I'm usually not a guy that
he'd be retired.
Yeah, I'm not somebody that gets like that emotionally invested in wrestlers or whatever, because it's like, yeah, whatever. Guys come and go. Companies come and go. You know what I mean? We've always said on the show that like the thing that we are always able to do is kind of adapt and change with the times. And if something's not working for us, we just move on. And I'm not all in on like one guy, and it's like, if this guy's gone, then I'm not watching wrestling anymore. Some people are that way. You know what I mean? Some people are just completely invested in a single company or a single wrestler. God, would it be gutting to have Will Ospreay show up in WWE? I mean, that one would hurt for a lot of reasons.
Yeah. Now there's matches there. I would love to see him wrestle Logan Paul. It's Logan, and I always screw this up. It's Logan, not Jake, right?
Correct.
I would love to see him wrestle. I think Logan Paul and Will Ospreay could have a match of the year. I think Logan Paul, with his athleticism and the things he can do and what he has shown, the ability to pull off moves and look like a true professional. Could you imagine Will Ospreay guiding that guy through a moves match and what they can do together? Like, I would love to see
if Seth Rollins could put together like fucking incredible work with Logan. Yeah, Will would take him to an absolutely
because it wouldn't just be a dynamic series of moves like the Logan Paul matches have been, and I've enjoyed every single Logan Paul match. Will Ospreay would have a real match with that guy and guide him through one. and I think that the ceiling would be match of the year, but with those two guys. I would love to see Will Ospreay, stay with me here, wrestle a motivated Seth Rollins, because they have that history sniping at each other on Twitter. And I think Ospreay has even mentioned Seth in some of his media interviews lately as he, talks about his potential landing spots. And I think that Seth Rollins is a little jealous that guys like Will Ospreay get all of this hype from the Smarks when he feels like, Seth Rollins recently had that quote. He said, I feel like if I forget the exact quote, I'm paraphrasing. He's like, me at 100%, I'm better than anybody.
Well,
and
he's
he was implying,
wrong. Yeah, he's wrong. But...
hold on. He was implying that he can't be 100%. You see what I'm saying? Because of where he is. Now, I don't necessarily agree either. But Will Ospreay responded to that, and he said, Seth Rollins says at 100% that he could be the best. Well, at 50%, I'm already the best. So imagine me at 100%. And then he went into match building mode and started building a match with Seth Rollins. But I think that those two guys, if you got them in the ring together, would be motivated to show the world that they can have the best match in the world. Would it be? I don't know. But I think that they want to work with each other, is what I'm saying. So there's things that he could do in WWE that I would be interested in. The problem is the list is short. And then after that, he's fucking retired. I don't need to see him on.
And we got Michael Cole screaming about him, and the growling ring announcer, and there's too many other things that would just annoy the hell out of me immediately. So
yeah, and and he would inevitably work the house style and tone down, and look, I can't blame the guy if he wants to go get the bag, and he's toned down his style a lot as it is. I mean, he's doing a lot of more power based stuff and things like that, because that this is the natural curve with these kinds of wrestlers. But so it would be disappointing, because the thing about it is, right now, currently, he's still the best wrestler in the world, and that's why it would be disappointing to see him end up there next year when he's still going to be the best wrestler in the world. And while we might get the occasional incredible match like some of the ones we've mentioned, maybe he talks them into letting him do something with Ricochet again, or fucking Walter. I don't know. There's other guys too. Those would be fleeting. There'd be a finite number.
There's a lot
those.
of them there, but it's like there's like 6 of them or whatever, and then you're kind of done, and then it's over.
And you might not even get the opportunity to do them all. It's like, because the company the way it is, and and ultimately he's going to end up doing a bunch of shit that we're not interested in, and it's a shame to waste the best wrestler in the world in his prime on that company right now,
right,
from a selfish standpoint of, I want to see this guy keep being the best wrestler in the world. Whereas if he ends up in AEW, you still have all that. They can book him. If he's under contract to them, they can book him without any, governor or reins, because he could do whatever you want with him because he's your guy. Plus, if he goes to AEW, he could still go to New Japan, and he could still, maybe if he ever wanted to, go down to Mexico and work CMLL or AAA.
Right. But if he wants to work at Wrestle Kingdom or whatever, he can. Yeah, and that
he can still do it. Right. Or if he wants to go work with Vikingo at Triple Mania, or if he wants to give CMLL a shot and work with fucking, the new Mascara, whatever the fuck, he can still do that shit if he sign. He could have his cake and eat it too. He can get the bag, and he could still flex his creative muscle and satisfy his artistic itch, by working in other places as well. So he has a lot to decide, and and he's talking like, he's like, I'll listen to Impact. I'll listen to I'm interested in WWE. I'm interested in AEW. I'm going to listen to New Japan. I'm going to listen to Billy Corgan if he calls me, and it's like, and that's how he should be playing it. What's really in his head, I don't know. We know that in the past, he has laughed off the idea of going to WWE, but that's when he was 26, 27 years old.
That's when he was a single guy, 26 years
bouncing
old,
around the world. Yeah.
Without a lady, without a kid, and without, 10 more years of wrestling on his body. Yeah.
Yeah. Not worried about his bank account necessarily, and things change when you're like, okay, now I have to make money because my body's not going to last forever. I've got responsibilities. I got this family I love, and your mindset changes. So I don't know. I don't think anybody knows, and he's going to play this smart, and he's not going to let anybody. And anytime anybody asks him in one of these media deals, of course he's going to say, "Oh yeah, I would love to work in Impact. I would love to work."
It behooves him to say that he would take offers from all these companies, because of course he should say that, because that's how leverage works. He should never say, I want to be in AEW and I never want to go to WWE. That's not good. Make WWE make you an offer, bring that offer to AEW, make them make you an offer, bring that offer to WWE. Do that as long as you can. Make as much money as you possibly can. When you're a valuable asset like that, that's what you should be doing. Playing those two off of each other.
Yeah. And it's I don't think anything is off the table with him. I wouldn't totally shock me, because he's a different kind of thinker, if he did re-sign with New Japan and just kept doing his own thing, in between the New Japan tours. Maybe he just truly loves New Japan and he wants to help that company climb back out of it
along the way. I mean, because he can also still do a lot of England stuff. Yeah, I don't know. He's a unique fella for sure, and I think that's why it'd be so disappointing if he just went to WWE and that was it. And it was like, he works WWE now, and he works.
But doesn't it concern you that it feels like he's checking off things off a list?
It does. But then again, it does. But he's done that for the last couple of years in my mind. Like, it feels a little bit more deliberate this year that he's checking stuff off. But it does feel like over the last couple of years he has just taken any cool match that he could find. So I don't. I get the worry. I get it for sure. And that does worry me a little bit. I'm with you, but it to me, he's also a guy that has been pretty open and done as many cool different things as he possibly can. So he doesn't feel like this year doesn't feel that much different than last year did for me in terms of him doing stuff, but he is checking a few more boxes off this year for sure.
What's left for him to do outside of WWE?
There's really not much. Yeah.
He's won the IWGP heavyweight title. He's worked Wrestle Kingdom. He's worked the Wrestle Kingdom main event. He was the most over person on the biggest pro wrestling show in history. He went back to Impact and checked that off. He worked Marufuji finally, which is something he's wanted to do for years. He got that Mike Bailey match out of the way that was supposed to be at WrestleMania weekend last year. Someone else he wanted to work with. He got Callum Newman into New Japan, his protege, to give that kid a shot and get his career going.
He got Aussie Open a bag from AEW.
He got Fletcher and Davis. He's worked, multiple AEW pay-per-views. He's worked Forbidden Door. There's not much left for him to do outside of, can I headline WrestleMania? Can I be one of the biggest stars in the biggest company? And I don't know if that's what motivates him at this point, or if he still has the attitude he had when Ricochet tweeted at him a few years ago and said, "Hey, you can join me here." And his response was like, "Yeah, well, that's never happening. I don't want to go there." I don't know if that's still how he thinks. He's not going to tell WWE that. He's going to hear them out. Even if he really thinks that, he's going to hear, and then go back to fucking Tony and Kadani and say, "All right, well, here's what you need to give me."
I want to stay with you, beat this offer right here, and I'm staying.
Yeah. Or, give me 80% of this and I'm yours. Whatever his tactic is, right? Like, maybe that is how he's going to play it. No one knows. So, it's going to be contract season, and he's going to be free.
The real war of 2024, not the fake war of 2024.
This is the real one. That's correct. Yeah, the real biggest free agent of 2024, because we all know the other guy signed. So, and again, I would be very wary of. Now we know they're interested because they've said they're interested, and it's Will Ospreay. If you're not interested, you're out of your fucking mind. You make exceptions, right? Because he can be a top star wherever he goes, but you still have to keep an eye on this TKO Endeavor stuff. You got to keep an eye on it. And whenever wrestlers ask me for advice, contract-wise, that's the first thing I bring up. I'm like, you got to keep an eye on the moving parts over there and how they're going to handle free agents
this week, especially, man. It's been that is not a done. That is not a hey. We've wiped our hands and we're all right. Now we're full steam ahead with Endeavor, TKO. I mean, that's a very fluid, very interesting situation that continues to change and adapt and. Even this week with Endeavor looking like they're going to go private, that doesn't necessarily affect TKO all that much right now.
It does. Yeah, two different situations.
They're two different. Yeah, and Endeavor is the company that owns 51% of the TKO group holdings or whatever.
Endeavor is the majority owner of TKO, which is the publicly traded company, which was UFC and WWE, the merged company, which is now Endeavor owns 51% of that, and Endeavor would be going private but that not TKO would remain public.
Right.
But, Ari Emanuel, that ringing endorsement of Vince McMahon when the merger was taking place is no longer a ringing endorsement.
No, quite the contrary. When asked, why their television deal wasn't as high as they expected, and they mentioned, well, Vince McMahon might have something to do with that.
Everything we've been talking about.
Right.
Yeah. It's, and he blamed Vince, and now Vince is out of the creative spot, and it's just so many moving parts. It's so volatile. And it's always going to be volatile.
Also,
and maybe they make
looking at the history of how Endeavor handled UFC negotiations, there were several top stars that were huge draws in UFC that when contracts came due, they said, "Nah, we're good. We'll just move on without you guys.
Yeah.
We're not.
Thanks for your services. Yeah. We're moving on."
Right.
Yep. And that's
Francis
scary.
Ngannou, you drew a lot of pay-per-views. You're still in the top of the game, but you can go do something else. We're good.
Yeah, and maybe right now they make exceptions for people like Jade Cargill and Will Ospreay because of the upside that they see. But if you're that next level down free agent, there's no evidence right now that they're in signing mode for people like that. Right. I mean, Brian Pillman Jr. was a developmental signing. That's a whole different thing. So we don't know yet how they're going to handle. And look, that report came out. Was it Fightful or someone else? That there's a bunch of contracts coming up in 2024. And they haven't started extension talks with anybody.
Yeah, those people that were waiting for that call to figure out what they're going to do with the next contract haven't quite gotten that call yet from old TKO Group Holdings. So,
and that speaks to my point that maybe they see everyone with the exception of the tippy top stars as expendable at this point, just churning them through the mid card machine, and maybe Nick Khan's strategy. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I think Nick Khan is more powerful than Vince right now.
As of this moment right now, absolutely. He absolutely is. I bet he has Aries, ear more than Vince does right now, for sure.
Yeah, and it's like, and I feel like his strategy is we have this stable of people who are in their 20s in NXT. The fuck we need these 38-year-olds who are making seven figures when we could just replace them and pay these people
We're paying Dolph
$400,000 a year.
What? And what does he offer us? Nothing really. Okay, well, he's gone then.
Nothing Grayson Waller can't give us for $400,000 or whatever the fuck. So it's like, that's why I tell these middle-class free agents, look, let this play out. Don't be burning bridges where you're at. Be careful. But yeah, Will Ospreay, I felt like we hadn't really talked about that yet.
Yeah,
but,
it's a good opportunity to do it.
WWE is absolutely, and now I hope people can see, like, what I was talking about months and months ago, because I had my ear to the ground on it. I had some people check in with me and say, hey, look, WWE is realistic. And there's that whole WWE Europe thing, which I don't know when they plan on rolling that out, but they would love to build that around Will Ospreay. And that wouldn't even require him to move to the United States. Guy just redid his kitchen. Maybe he doesn't want to move to the United States. Did you see that? He just redid his fucking
he's there
kitchen.
he's got the screwdriver going, and he's watching. I forget what he was watching on the other TV, but he was watching some wrestling going on too.
He was watching New Japan VTR videos and responding to. I think that's what he was watching. But he, motherfucker, just got a new microwave. Who says he wants to come to America? I don't want to leave all that behind. I said TLB this week. Be like, oh, I found 2 houses I want to buy. I was like, what?
Yeah, excuse me?
I'm like, we just put in granite countertops in the kitchen. We can't leave now. We gotta
stain these things for a little bit. Yeah, we gotta cook on these things. We gotta cut on them. We gotta,
let the kids destroy it first. I mean, geez, it's a sunk cost at this point. We can't be moving right now. That conversation went nowhere. I'm like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know how much these houses are. I don't want to know nothing.
The thought of moving just horrifies me.
Oh, it horrifies me. I'm like, and she's like, she frowned. I'm like, take that frown and keep on walking. I don't want to know nothing. This is not a conversation I want to have. So, you know what I did? I went to the kids and I was like, oh yeah, mommy wants to move. She wants to leave our house. And I played their emotional strings.
They don't want to move. Yeah.
We don't want to move. You know what the boy said? So funny. He says to Brittany, he goes, but if we move, we won't have 4 TVs on the wall anymore.
He's not wrong.
I was like,
yeah.
That's my boy.
That's a boy.
She's like,
what are you doing?
We would bring the She's like, we would bring the TVs. We're not going to leave the TVs. We'll put them on a different wall. I'm like, no, the boy's right.
He's right. He brings up a fantastic point. You don't know about the wiring in that new house. You have no idea about the wiring in that new house.
No, he wants to watch the golf with his old man. He doesn't want to. You got to have those 4 screens. But Will Ospreay just did his fucking kitchen. Yeah, maybe he wants to stay in the fucking wherever the hell he lives. The Docklands.
I don't
Probably
think
doesn't
he
live in
lives
the
in the Docklands, but yeah, let's go with
I
that.
don't know.
Yeah.
Fucking, I was watching that Naked Attraction.
Yeah. I have not.
Are you into that with the nurse?
Nah, I can't do naked people. It's too much. Yeah, like normal naked people is I can't do it.
Yeah, it's
like normal naked people.
They're normal.
It's fucking gross. You know what I mean? Like
these aren't all hot
human
people.
body. Yeah, the human body is the male human body is absolutely hideous. Absolutely hideous.
Horrendous.
It's just
horrendous
so
male
bad.
body.
Like even like the female body is but a male body, just a normal male body, like a dude, just a normal ass dude with his tiny little dick and his gut and stuff.
Yeah.
It's so gross.
His,
why would any woman ever? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, look at this.
His non-erect, shriveled up little dingus.
Right. Like, come on. Like, I'm like
nobody
hairy.
wants to look at that.
Yeah, I got a fucking gut. Like, a little bit
Do you ever get out of the shower and look in the mirror and be like, how did anyone ever want to fuck
every
me?
night, every day, every morning.
It's like,
I'm looking at myself and I'm like, oh, like, this poor
like,
woman. Woman has to sit down.
How does my hot wife
and has to pretend
anyone?
And has to pretend that she's attracted to this.
Why does she want to fuck me? Like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, men are the worst. Like,
we're so gross. We're hideous.
I watched this Naked Attraction.
That's why I can't watch it. I don't want to see men. I don't want to see naked dudes ever. And it's just they don't look, they're like gross. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean it in like yucky. Like, I just mean like the male body is just
right. You don't want to look at naked men. Yeah,
they're hairy, men are disgusting, and weird, and unerect penises. So yeah, it's gross.
Little shriveled dingus.
Yeah,
no one wants to look at it. So my point here was like when someone gets eliminated, you know, like they come out of their little fucking tube or whatever
that
they're
little
contained
pod
in.
Tube thing
the
going,
pod, and the music plays down, and they come out of the tube, and the host says their name and where they're from, and the show is based in the UK. And I popped big the other night because this one guy was from the Docklands.
Oh, there it is.
She was like, his name is, he's 28 years old. His name is Liam. He's from the Docklands, and he's a day laborer. Right. And like,
right. How was Liam's body? Pretty good.
Hey, he was the shit. Yeah. Covered in tattoos. He was a mess. So they, and then then like the woman, the picker, you know, like who eliminated them, they have a really awkward little brief exchange. Sometimes they give a little naked hug, you know, and then Liam hits the bricks because he's eliminated.
Yeah. Hit the bricks,
you know?
Liam.
And then the host is like, that's not going to be a match, I'm afraid. You know, Liam, you know, you're going to have to go. And, you know, he hits the bricks. And, you know, but yeah, I popped so huge.
You got a Docklands guy. You got Liam from the Docklands. There you go.
When the guy was from the Docklands. Yeah. So that's the only reason I bring that up. But yeah, you know, whatever it was. I don't remember.
I'm sure that's right. Yeah.
And I went with Liam because that's like a 20% hit.
Yeah, they're every other person from that area is named Liam. So
what we've got here is Gareth. He's 31.
Gareth or Liam,
He's from North London. And he works in sales, you know, and he comes down with his shriveled little dingus.
Tiny little dick.
You know, yeah. That's how it is. You know, Nathan in the chat says Rich wants them erect. I want them erect because when me and TLB watch this, we're like, wouldn't this be easier for the woman if she saw the penises erect? Because you want to know if you're a grower, there's a shower. The other thing
there is nothing more hideous than the unerect male penis. It's fucking gross.
Well, and here's the thing. I didn't know this, but in the UK, the vast majority of men, like 90% of the guys on these shows are not circumcised.
Oh, yeah. That throws another wrinkle into everything. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No pun intended with the wrinkle. But like in America, most people are circumcised, right? Like most. I would say it's the opposite. Not everyone, you know, but they're all like, here's a funny thing. Like TLB, she probably has what I would consider for her age an average body count. Like very average, you know, an average body count. Like she's no nun, okay, but she's, you know,
she's not Will Chamberlain out there.
Right, exactly. So the first time we watched the show, she was aghast. She was like, "What is with these dicks?"
Oh my god!
And I'm like,
look at that. Yeah.
She never saw an uncircumcised.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
And I had to explain to her. I'm like, "Oh, these guys are just uncut. They're like uncircumcised." She's like, "What? Where's the head?" I'm like,
"Yeah, if you're not used to it, it's a bit shocking. It is."
yeah, you got to peel the fucking shit back to get to the head, you know? And she was like, oh my God, she's like retching. I'm like, look, she never saw it before, you know? It was new to her. Like, she got used to it eventually. I'm like, listen, you have definitely seen uncircumcised dick in porn. You just don't know it because when it's hard, you don't know the difference anymore. So that's why I say too, like, it would be easier on this show if all these dicks were erect, because then you can see the true size too.
Right.
Because I think it's, you know, it's a little deceptive.
And then no one is at their best with their unerect little shriveled up penis. Trust me.
Oh God, no! I would never go on that fucking show.
Zero. Or I would make sure I'd be in there the whole time, making sure it's at least to some attention, at least, because I'm not walking up there with an unerect. No, that's not good for anybody. Nobody wants to see that. So
yeah, I've got a big swinging dick, and even I wouldn't go out there. You know, it's humiliating. A fucking unerect dick, and you're just standing there, and the show is just meant to be shallow, so they're just ripping these people apart, like in a polite way. But it's like, I like when they get eliminated for stuff like their feet, and they're like, you know, I don't like this one's feet. He's clearly doesn't clip his nails. Like, I like that. Like that's real good attention to detail. I always get behind. I'm like, yeah, you know, if you got dirty fucking
right, yeah,
toenails,
what, you're probably going to be bad about other parts of your life. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Right,
like,
you're probably not a clean person.
Right.
You know, especially if you know you're going on a show where you're going to be naked. You don't even clean your fucking toenails.
Right.
Like, what does that say? You know. So, anyway, there was a guy from the Docklands on Naked Attraction. I think there's 4 seasons. We must have watched that in like
just
a day and a
binged,
half.
just went nuts. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. Kids are in bed. All right, put it on. Couldn't wait to get back to the Naked Attraction. What a fantastically trashy fucking show, you know. But after a while, everyone like looks the same. Like after a while, like they all start to blend in, and you know, because you get the 6 women up there, and I'm like, all these women look exactly like. What is there even to pick from? You know. The other thing is, I think they do really bad fucking boob jobs in England for some reason. Like the tit jobs.
Not looking good.
Anyway,
yeah.
They must not have great doctor. They definitely don't have Dr. Rude here from Con. He does tremendous work. I can attest to that personally, sir. Dr. Rude does outstanding work.
Richard Ruder.
I don't know his first name. The handshake that man got when he got done with TL. I'm like, sir, it's tremendous work. It was like one time I flew and the turbulence was awful and I thought I was gonna die. I must have hugged that. I hugged that pilot. I shook his hand. That's what Rude got after the boob job he gave TLB.
Dr. Rick Rude. Yeah.
He did fantastic.
What I'd like to have right now.
Yeah, impossible not to think of Rick Rude. Yeah.
Yeah. Did he have a stat? Did he have a mustache or no?
He spells it different too. He spells it
all right.
like RUUD or some shit. I don't know.
It's like Bobby Roode. He's got like the Bobby Roode of the dogs. One half of the dogs. Bobby Roode.
Absolutely.
The dirty dogs. About for Glory. Again, we don't have to go match by match. Talked about it on
this show fucking rocked.
Thank you. Okay, I'm glad you had the same thought. What I would say about this show, and the live perspective is always a little bit different when you're there live and the crowd's hot or whatever, which this crowd was hot all night for just about everything, is I thought this show was paced perfectly. That you started out with Sabin and Kenta. Was this the most effort you saw Kenta give in like years? Now, that's not saying much. For the record, like I'm not talking about, this isn't classic Kenta here. But I thought he tried here. I don't know if he was just excited about the crowd, excited about the opponent, whatever it was. I thought this was like the best Kenta's looked in a singles match in a.
This was like a 3.5-star Kenta match,
right? Which is how often do you get that anymore with Kenta? I mean, usually you can tell he's loafing. Like he looks like he's actively not trying. He looked like he was trying a little bit. So you have that match to start out was pretty good. And then they decided that every time there was going to be a good match, they would follow it with kind of a weird match or whatever, but one that would, be fun or whatever. So you have the Monsters Ball match, which was stupid, and it was just guys going through, weapons and stuff, but it was 11 minutes, and it was a nice, you have the Sabin Kenta, you have a pretty good wrestling match. Then you go to this Monsters Ball thing. You take that back, and then you come back after that with the world title, the Impact World title, World Tag Team titles, I should say, ABC and the Rascals. And those guys are bouncing all over the ring, doing cool stuff, doing crazy things, having a very, very good tag match in my mind. Not a great match, but a really, really good one for about 10 minutes. They get out of there. Then you have Ospreay and Bayley, which is fucking phenomenal. And then when that match is over, we'll go back and talk about the matches. When that match is over, people need a cooldown. Like I don't really believe in the cooldown match as much. We always would argue about that. People would say, "Oh, you got to have a cooldown match." Bailey and Ospreay needed a cool down match because people were just going nuts. People wanted to kind of go to the bathroom. They wanted to kind of chill out because everybody was there, 100% attention for Ospreay and Bailey the entire time. Once that match was over, people were like, all right, I need a little bit of a break. What better break than essentially a dollar store Royal Rumble? Perfect. Half an hour. They just fuck around for half an hour with this Royal Rumble. People come, people go, people enter the ring, and you got people on the outside going, all right, cool, I'm going to run to the bathroom. I'll be back. And then you lock in for the last 2 matches of the night. Now, Trinity and Mickey, we'll talk about that. It was a bit of a cool down match of its own. But then Shelly and Alexander, which I thought was really, really good as well. I just thought it was a perfectly paced show. When it was done, I couldn't believe that my 3 hours or 4 hours or whatever had gone by that fast. So yeah, I phenomenal pacing of this show. Really, really good pacing from top to bottom.
Yeah, and the dollar store Royal Rumble, I could take or leave that. I guess the big news there is Sonny Kiss debuted.
Cardona's back, I guess would be the other one.
Cardona, who I'm just over. I have no use for Cardona and his routine anymore. But yeah, everything else ranged from good to pretty damn great because I thought Will Ospreay, Mike Bailey was better than Will Ospreay, Zack Sabre Jr. from the
I 100% agree. I have that in my notes.
Or rather Royal Quest 3, not the Royal.
100% in my notes, the same. I said that's what I wanted to talk about is where would you put this versus, we've had this week's great Zack Sabre Jr. This week's great Will Ospreay matches. Every week it seems like there's another one. I thought Bailey and Ospreay, and again, live building, changes a lot of things, but I went 5 on it. I thought it was phenomenal. I thought the last 10 minutes of that match were just like some of the best shit I've ever seen. The counters were great. Bailey doing the spin kick out of the corner and Ospreay taking his head off with the hidden blade and just, god damn, was there just such good stuff here. And the kickouts and making you believe, god damn it, Mike Bailey might win this match, even though for a fact Mike Bailey's not going to win this match. I thought when it was all said and done, I was like, now that is a fucking match, man. That is just spectacular work from Ospreay and Bailey. So I loved it. I went 5 in the building. I've seen some other people say, watching on pay-per-view, I was more 4.5 or 4 3/4 or whatever. But I'm pretty confident in my 5 in the building, man. That thing was a special match that I was watching.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if 4 3/4 was out of the question because I thought it was really great.
No,
and,
not at all.
Borderline match of the year contender, for sure. A match I'll be thinking about when I construct my top 10. I don't know if it'll make it, but I thought it was better than the Sabre match. And I thought Shelly and Alexander was a 4-star match. And, some of the other matches you talked about, the Monsters Ball match, that's not for me, but they worked hard.
They got in and out of there in 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fine with that. If you're going to do that shit and throw each other through some tables or whatever, yeah, get in and out of there in 10 minutes. And they did. And that's fine. I got no complaints with that.
Yeah. And the Ace Austin Chris Bay match against the Rascals. I mean, that couldn't kill you if you have that in a notebook. That was a really good match.
Yeah, I went 4 flat on that one, which is pretty good for a 10-minute match. Yeah, they go wild. That was some great tag team wrestling, man. That was great. Hot tags into heel face stuff, into high flying. Like they integrated high flying and classic tag team wrestling very well in that match. Those guys deserve a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, and the Royal Rumble thing is just silliness and.
Which is fine. It's okay. You know what I mean? Like that's Juventud Guerrero comes out. If it's perfect, something like this is. I would say that about Rumbles. There was only that one WWE Royal Rumble that really sucked. Most Royal Rumbles are fine. They're okay. You know what I mean? You just don't care that much. You just kind of sit back and laugh and whatever. And that's how this was. It was a half an hour. Everybody kind of needed that cool down. Everybody needed a chance to go leave and go pee and go get something to drink or whatever. And it was fine. It was inoffensive for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
Jordan Grace won, by the way. She beat Bully Ray. So.
Yeah, I think that as far as Sonny Kiss goes, it's a good spot for Sonny Kiss to be with Impact.
Did you tug your collar as much as I tugged my collar when Sonny Kiss got in the ring and cleared everybody out or whatever, and the next person up was Bully Ray, and I was like, uh-oh, this is going to get uncomfortable quickly.
Mean, I didn't tug my collar because, obviously they would have worked out. I didn't think anything like problematic.
No, I just thought Bully was going to be like, who the hell are you? What the heck is in my wrestling ring or whatever? And then instead they just danced, and then Sonny Kiss played the Devon role when they did the What's Up. And it was actually like, oh, all right, that was kind of cool. So there we go.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have re-signed Sonny Kiss either if I was Tony Khan. I didn't think Sonny Kiss had any kind of real upside in AEW, but I think this is a good spot for Sonny Kiss. I wouldn't have pushed Sonny Kiss in AEW, and I don't blame Tony for moving on. And I think Sunny Kiss has a better chance of in this company. But again, I still think ultimately Sunny Kiss is a mid-carder. But it did surprise the crowd. Rich, do you believe in Joe Hendry?
I do. I peed next to Joe Hendry. Yeah, I peed next to Joe Hendry earlier in the night. So.
You peed next to Joe Hendry. Hey, he's from Europe, so uncircumcised, right?
I didn't take a look. I didn't take a look.
You didn't take a peek?
I didn't take a peek, but it is great because somebody was talking about this before. They were talking about it. I forget who it was. Someone on our Discord was like, why is Kenny Omega always shirtless? And I said, well, he's a wrestler. They're always shirtless. And the example I brought up is Joe Hendry. I get to the arena. I go to the bathroom right away after being in traffic for a little while. I go to the bathroom. It's me and it's Joe Hendry peeing in the bathroom. Joe Hendry is shirtless in his wrestling gear, okay? This is at 7 p.m. My man didn't hit the ring until 9:12. So 2 hours and 15 minutes later, he wasn't going to hit the ring for another 2 hours. Why? He's ready to go, man. He's in his gear, shirtless, oiling up, ready to go. It's just, it's professional wrestlers. It's such a weird world where they just walk around without a shirt all the time. And it's like, hey, if I looked like that, I guess I wouldn't either. But it's, if you're just a normal human being, it's just, it's hard to comprehend just how often these men just do not have their shirts on.
The fucking song gets stuck in my head as soon as I hear it.
Oh, I know. It was stuck in my head for the last 48 hours. So thank you for bringing it back. So,
hey, you're walking around the house.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
He did the way he does it with the cheesy smile and you lean in.
Oh, yeah. I just did. Yeah, you didn't see it. We're not on video, but you knew I did it. You could tell I did it.
Yes, that's right. You have to. You start running off from London to Tokyo. That
song's great. It's a legitimately good song. I'm not going to lie. It's a solid as hell song. Yeah.
Trinity, Mickie James, that's kind of just there. That's probably my least favorite match.
Look. Trinity was the second most over person on the show.
Okay.
Maybe third behind Mike Bailey. She's not good. She's bad, right?
I mean, she's just there. She does nothing for me. I mean, never did, honestly. Feel the glow. Did you feel the glow?
I did. Yeah, there are glow sticks everywhere. I mean, it's an awesome entrance. And then the bell rings. Unfortunately, it's I was like, man, this is pretty wild. She's a superstar. And then the bell rang, and I was like, oh, yeah.
Well, you got to sign her.
It's still Trinity.
And they did.
And that's exactly what I said on my instant reaction. 100 times out of 100, if she is available and willing to sign, you sign her. You sign her and you push her. You sign her and you push her. I have no problem with it. But you just have to understand that once that bell rings, that vaunted, Impact Wrestling women's division that got put over for all those many years, you have to lower your standards a little bit with her. She's just not that level of wrestler. And that's okay. That's fine because she's bringing eyeballs. She's bringing, you take that for sure. Again, 100 times out of 100, if she's available and willing to go there in your Impact, you 100% sign her.
Oh, yeah, you got it. I could see why Tony Khan passed, but.
Yes. Oh, exactly. Yeah.
If he did, I mean, there's a rumor that maybe the condition of her release was you can't go there. Who knows, right? But it's like if you're Impact, whether that's the case or not, that's someone you have to take a chance on and at least see how it works out. She's undefeated. They gave her the title. And that's that. Now, a lot of people thought Josh Alexander would win the title back. He did not.
Real quick on the Mickie James Trinity stuff. Just want to point this out for I don't know if it was visible on the pay-per-view as much as it was to us in the building, but David Penzer, who's the Impact ring announcer, said, and standing on this side of the ring, whatever, is from Roanoke, Virginia, and Mickie James turns her head and goes, Richmond, Virginia, not Roanoke. And she was livid. I don't know how
hot, huh?
She was taking her gear off going, fucking Roanoke, Richmond. To the other, the people in Impact and looking at, fuckface Phillips and Matt, the Drama King Matt, and just stomping around the ring. When someone's having a fit? She was stomping around the ring. You could tell in her head. She's like, fucking, I've been in Impact for how long? Fucking Roanoke. I don't know the dynamics of a Roanoke versus a Richmond in Virginia. But I guess if you're from Richmond, you do not want to be from Roanoke. I'll tell you that because she was hot about it. And as we're watching this match, a few of us noticed it and we're like, she's out of this match. She's not focused. There was a while at the beginning of the match where you could tell she's still pissed about being announced from Roanoke. I was blown away. She seemed to kind of shrug it off a little bit, but yeah, I don't know if it was obvious on pay-per-view, but this one was hot at David Penzer for calling her from Roanoke. And it seemed to affect at least the beginning part of the match. Not that I think the match was going to be good if David Penzer said Richmond, but I do think it did affect her a little bit.
I'd want them to get the city right too.
Sure.
You know, I don't know.
When you're hardcore country, you better get my fucking. I mean, come on, Jesus Christ! I'm Mickey James. Let's go.
You know, it's you know, and then Shelley retains, which I think may have surprised some people. You know, very good match. And then didn't Josh Allen, he faced Ospreay at didn't they have a tape?
Yeah, they had a fallout. They had a fallout show the next night, and
the next day.
Yeah, I did not go to that show, but it was Ospreay and Alexander. But as far as the Alexander and Shelley match, I think what you should note, and I think Andrew Sinclair did a great job on the review at voicesofwrestling.com, is that what this match really was, and you might not have been obvious to people that are just jumping in and haven't watched, Impact in a while, or haven't watched, Alex Shelley in a while. This match was Josh Alexander coming back from injury, coming back from, whatever, to a supremely confident Alex Shelley, a guy that he's beaten numerous times before. Josh Alexander has beaten Alex Shelley before. Alex Shelley has not been good enough before. On this night, Alex Shelley was just the better man, and he was dominating Alexander, beating him. He was the stronger man, the better wrestler, the smarter wrestler, the more poised wrestler. Everything you could say about Alex Shelley, he just had it here. So much so that, like, the final parts of the match where he, at one point he's beating on Alexander so badly that Alexander's headgear falls off, and Shelley just kicks the headgear out of the ring. Like, get the fuck out of here. This headgear shit. Then later in the night, maybe a minute or two later, he kicks Josh Alexander in the mouth, and Alexander's mouth guard falls out. And Alex Shelley does the same. He kicks it out of the ring, like, get the shit out of my ring or whatever. And then when he pins Josh Alexander, and Sinclair pointed this out, and I'm glad he did, because I noted it too. Shelley put his hands on his shoulders, not like a pinfall where you kind of go over the guy. Hands on the shoulders, like, I am so dominating this man right now on this night. You aren't even on my level, dude. And yeah, it was a little bit of a weird, because you were expecting maybe more of like a kick out heavy, sort of main event. But this was Alex Shelley proving that he is the man right now in Impact, and I love that match structure.
Kind of a little bit of a Japanese thing where a guy comes back and, maybe
it wasn't fully ready.
Out.
Yeah, and I stupidly thought that Alexander, they wanted, it's just an opportunity to get the title back on Alexander, and I like this match structure where Shelley's just like, no, dude, you're not on my level yet. You're not healthy yet. Maybe when you get healthy, you can come back at me, but right now, no.
Yeah, they lost to Ospreay the next night too. So, no, yeah, I thought it was a really good match, and even the finish was very definitive. Like you said, it wasn't a kick out fest or anything like that. So this was a really good show. I mean, it absolutely fucking smoked the NXT show, for instance. I mean, not even fucking close. And really there wasn't anything that I would call a bad match on this show. And most of the matches were good, and there were a couple of matches that were just okay. And you traveled to Cicero for it. Did you get an Italian beef? Did you make a deal with Al Capone?
Italian beef on this day. No Al Capone, no Italian beef on this day. I eat plenty of Italian beefs. Do not worry, but not on this night.
Not on this day, though.
Nah.
Okay.
Trust me.
Al Capone used to bounce around Cicero.
He did used to bounce. That used to be one of his haunts. Yeah.
Yes. Torrio, too, right? Johnny Torrio before Al Capone. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so your mob history.
Living in Chicago, there's no choice. You got
yes.
it. It's very odd how much we embrace mob history here in Chicago. You would love it. There's mob tours, there's mob walking tours, there's mob these tours, you go to a place, there's Al Capone merchandise everywhere. And it's like, I mean, the guy was a cold-blooded killer. I don't maybe don't
You don't say. Italian people embracing mob culture?
I know,
what?
It's hard to believe. Sit down, Joe. Sit down and try to comprehend this. That they might be embracing it as a badge of honor when many
believe
people.
It. Yeah. In New Jersey, I never encountered such a thing.
Right, yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. So that's the Bound for Glory.
Yep.
Which, pretty
By the
great
way,
show.
Cicero fun facts coming your way very soon in the AWF series at flagshippatreon.com. Freedom of choice.
Maybe mob connections there. As well.
Very much so, including the AWF itself, which has mob connections.
Yeah.
So tune in for
which,
that.
As we've learned, is a money laundering front. After all these years.
Yes. So I've done some research on that. I try to talk to some people won't talk, so I don't want to end up in a floating in a lake. So I'm gonna.
You don't want to end up in Cicero as part of the foundation of a building.
Cicero, and I'll show you some documents. I don't want to go. Hey, I got a briefcase here. Let's talk about what's in this briefcase. I'm not gonna find out. So, But at least from what I could glean from Chicago Tribune articles and some other stuff, there's some good mob connection stuff with the AWF. So we'll talk about that.
You better watch yourself as a reporter poking around.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
I talked to one guy, and I think I maybe gotten a little too close, and I was like, all right, we're out. So we're out. We're done. Yeah. So again, if they find me in a lake, I'll send you the name of the person.
That river that they dye green every year.
Yeah, the Chicago River. I might end up floating there, and I'll let you know who I think it was. So I should probably let you know.
They still
soon.
dye it green.
Oh, every
year.
St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, every St. Patrick's Day gets dyed green. So.
You got a lot of Irish out there in Chicago?
Yes, quite a few Irish here in Chicago. Yes.
I thought it was all Italian and Polish.
No, a lot of Irish. Southside is all
Polish,
a very, very, very heavy Southside Irish here.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
I thought it was all Polish and Italian.
No. You got a lot of everything here, man. It's a melting pot over here in Chicago. So
a lot of ethnics, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everything.
Yeah. All right.
Everything out here. So. All right, that was Bound for Glory. All right, let's that was NXT. We talked about that. Let's what do we got in this time? Okay, let's do a quick AEW thing here. So you did the Dynamite review, Thursday Dynamite review at flagshippatreon.com if you want to listen to that, an hour or so reviewing the show, talking about the good and the bad of this week's episode of AEW Dynamite. I wrote a little piece at flagshippatreon.com talking about something that kind of annoyed me about yesterday's Dynamite, which was the announcement of the MJF Kenny Omega match taking place on Collision this Saturday. So you got MJF, who is obviously the current AEW World Heavyweight Champion. You wouldn't know that because he's walking around with the ROH title because somebody else stole his actual title. So you have him defending the title against Kenny Omega, who's the longest reigning AEW World Champion, and MJF is a couple of days away from passing Kenny Omega to become the longest reigning AEW World Heavyweight Champion. So the match is happening this week on Collision. So I wrote that piece saying there's no justification for this happening on 3 days' notice. Now, before I get into the absolute fucking dorks on X, formerly known as Twitter, who can't handle this story and didn't read it and don't know what's going on, Joe, I'd rather talk to you because you are a normal human being and I know who you are and you're not just some weird person that's saying engagement bait, hold this L, ratio, and all these other dorks that are still earnestly tweeting on X, formerly known as Twitter.
Oh, were you getting that again?
Oh, again, yeah. It's like, go away, all of you. And not even, I just put the headline. They still are at it. So it's fine. Go away. I don't care who any of these people are. Engagement bait. Really? Because I haven't tweeted a thought or an opinion in 2 years. So I don't know that I'm engagement baiting, but okay. Dude on X, formerly known as Twitter. Yes, I'm engagement baiting or whatever. And then, so I wrote that and I got a lot of this you. Is this you of, I believe it was your tweet. It may have been my tweet. I don't even remember. When they booked Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson for Grand Slam. And someone said, hey, if you don't like, Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega being booked for Grand Slam, you're an absolute dork. So now that is being, is this you? It's like, hypocrite. And now we're told the rents due is a new thing. Did you know about rents due? Are you aware of this? It must be a thing now because like 12 people told me rents due.
Oh, is that the new hot insult, rents due?
Yeah, I think it might be that like I'm trying to make money, so my rent's due or whatever. Which, sorry, okay. You fucking dorks. I have a mortgage because I'm a fucking adult with a job, unlike you assholes. All right,
get him,
so I got a mortgage. I pay a mortgage, not my fucking rent. Like you X, formerly known as Twitter earnest tweeters out there. No, I have a mortgage.
I thought maybe it meant like, we caught you in hypocrisy.
Oh,
so
maybe
the rent is due.
Maybe that's it.
But you could be right too. It could be, you got to work up some controversy because your rent is due.
Right.
It could be either or.
Yeah, trust me.
Also,
plenty enough to pay for the mortgage. Don't worry, I'm good. Thank you guys.
They don't know this, but it's two different people making two different points. Number one, because it's obviously a tweet that I made way back in the day. And the other thing is, I can guarantee you they didn't read what you wrote.
Oh God, no.
I mean, they didn't plunk down the $10 and read it, which again is why there's no use for this engagement is useless. It's just it's pointless. It's useless. They don't click. They don't purchase, and that's why we actively try to avoid it because it's just a bunch of utter nonsense. So. I wasn't aware that you were catching it today.
Oh, yeah. I did my one daily check and I went, oh, boy.
It's not even a hot take.
No,
like, it's not even a hot take that they're rushing the match. That's not even a hot take.
Right. So I don't care about those dorks. Move on from them. Put them in the past. Do not care. I'm not doing the argue with these absolute anonymous weirdos on X, formerly known as Twitter.
Now that the tweet is like 12 hours old, just fucking delete it. Like, it's not serving any purpose anyway.
Or just do the mute. I just do the mute thing too, where I just mute it, and I don't look at it. I don't care. Actually, honestly, these people can tweet at me all fucking night. I'm never going to respond to them. I'm never going to care. So,
I know you're never going to respond.
So you know what they can do? They can just continue to shout to the fucking wind, and I will never read any of their stuff. But anyway, I don't care about those people. I care about you and I. So let's talk about and our great listeners and the people who subscribe to us on flagshippatreon.com. So I made the point that I thought there was no justification for doing it on 3 days' notice, which is a bit more nuanced than what people are gathering from the headline, which of course that would be the case because, like you said, nobody is reading it. But I know that you have said, and you said on the Thursday Dynamite review, that you aren't as bothered by the match happening on 3 days' notice, Kenny Omega versus MJF on Collision this Saturday. You're not as bothered on it, so I want to at least let you get your end, and then I'll kind of talk about my end. And we don't have to go too long because we have some other stuff to talk about, and I don't think we really disagree that much about it. But I think I do have some interesting points to maybe counteract or give you a rebuttal of some of the things that I think you said about that match happening.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, obviously, it's a pay-per-view caliber match, okay, and we know that that's the kind of match that could headline a pay-per-view. I'm not worked up on doing it on a 3-week build in this circumstance because I think that this is a company that's clearly struggling to sell tickets right now for their televisions. This is a company that clearly is struggling with television ratings. Dynamite, with some stiff NBA competition this week, didn't do a great number and maybe did a little bit lower than people even thought they would do against NBA's opening night. And obviously Collision and Rampage have not done good numbers at all, and this is a match that's set for Saturday night on Collision. So from that standpoint, if you want to start selling tickets, if you want to start getting more people to watch your television, you have to give them a reason to buy tickets and watch your television, right? So you bring in Mystico in Houston, and that seems to have worked. You bring Okada in, and they seem to have a decent last day ticket sales. Who knows if it was Okada that made a difference? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't in Philadelphia, but at least you're trying things. And then you do this, where, there's a big-time world title match between two of your top stars. You're putting it on Collision, and maybe you get a few more people to tune in. Maybe you sell a couple more tickets. So from that standpoint...
and it has moved tickets, by the way. WrestleTix has updated it. It's getting there. They're creeping up to 3,500 at least, maybe 4,000 for Collision this week.
Yeah, and I mean, that's exactly why you do it, and you do that. And from the other standpoint is, I guess I'm going to mirror the tweet I made about Grand Slam many years ago. It's a cool fucking match, and I'd like to see it. I'd like to see a world title match between MJF and Kenny Omega. From that standpoint, I don't mind. And the other thing is, my final point is, I don't think you're getting a clean finish anyway. I don't think there's any chance in the world that there's a chance that neither guy's even going to take a pin or take a fall. I think the heels are going to get involved, whether it's Jay White, whether it's Don Callis. I don't know what, but this is going to be a match where the finish is booked. And when I say that, I mean, this match is not going to have a definitive finish. And it's going to be used to set up stuff that follows. And because it's a television match, and because it's only a 3-day build, I don't mind that. If it's a pay-per-view match, people deserve a finish. Because you're paying for it, and you deserve a conclusion to whatever the story is.
For sure.
If it's a television match that you've been building for a month and a half and selling a month and a half's worth of tickets and all of that, and it's something like a Grand Slam, like we just brought up, or Winter is Coming or something, I think you deserve a finish. But I could still maybe give you a pass if you do a fuck finish in a creative way that's good, that advances the story. This match, because it's only a 3-day build, I really don't care what they do with this. Because I feel like this is a story advancement match anyway, wrapped up in this false pretense of, all right, we're going to see who has the longest world title reign in AEW history. The heels are going to spoil it for both of these guys. And then in some form or fashion, MJF and Kenny Omega might end up aligned. Maybe that 8-man tag that MJF is looking for partners for,
right,
or something.
The Elite come with him or whatever. He's earned their respect or something like that. All right, great.
Something's coming out of it. So for all of those reasons, this doesn't work me up that they're booking this match. So anyway, the floor is yours.
All right. First off, you know why you're wrong. Matt Kuhn agrees with you. So first off, I've won. You've lost. Yes. So you want to change things?
You know what? I'm gonna have to rethink. I'm gonna listen to your arguments.
Right.
And rethink this.
Just look in the mirror. Do you have a mirror anywhere near you? Yeah. Just let you know that's what side you're on.
That's quite literally the worst thing you could have said to me.
I do. That's how I knew to start the things off. But I have better rebuttals. Not any better rebuttals. I have other rebuttals. That one is the best though. Is you are on the same side as Matt Kuhn and you agree with this.
Yeah, I got to rethink my stance.
So,
go ahead.
Now let me see what I can do for you. So you made the argument really for me on the Thursday Dynamite review because you were running down all of the current things that MJF is involved in and all the current feuds he's involved in. And he's got the fucking draft. He's got Next Strong. He's got Samoa Joe. He's got the fucking Devil Who Done It. He's got, here's Paul White, maybe kind of, sort of. Here's this guy. Like, you know what I mean? There's like all these fucking people. I don't know. I said Paul White, but there's just like all these random people that are just showing up.
Not Paul White. No Paul White.
No Paul White. No Paul White. But there is some wink, wink, nudge, nudge to Paul White, which I cannot fucking fathom that we're going to bring.
That's with Will Hobbs.
I know. I can't believe we're doing Paul White on AEW television, for God's sakes. But there's 100 different people that he's involved with, and everyone's involved with MJF and all these things. And as you were breaking that down, you said, oh, yeah, I almost forgot. Yeah, he's facing Kenny Omega at Collision after you just talked about him facing Kenny Omega at Collision. And that kind of speaks to it for me there, is that it is an afterthought in both of these guys. You know, what's going on. MJF, it is not even the second most important thing that he's doing with the AEW World title. The Jay White stuff is more important, and the Samoa Joe stuff is arguably more important than him defending this title against Kenny Omega. Now, to me, when you have Kenny Omega, Day One, AEW original, one of the biggest stars that they have, one of the best wrestlers that this company has, and MJF, a Day One AEW guy, one of the biggest stars that AEW has, and one of its biggest stars, and they're both battling for who's the longest reigning champion. I don't know. I just kind of feel like that should mean more. And the fact that people are just like, whatever, it's a cool match, that bothers me, man. This is the AEW World title. This is something that should mean a lot to everybody. And it's not necessarily that the match itself is whatever, because the match will be good. I have no doubt about that. And I wrote that in the piece. The match will be good. The crowd's going to be hot for it. It's selling tickets. It might help a Collision rating on a night that is traditionally not good for television at all. The Saturday before Halloween, not good. That's a big bar and a big party night. That's going to be real tough. But I don't feel that this match has any sort of, I don't feel like it has the hype or the magnitude that it should have. And I don't know, maybe I'm a dork for thinking that, but I just kind of feel like MJF versus Kenny Omega, for the first time ever, these men have never been in the ring ever. They've never been in a tag match. They've never been in an Anarchy in the Arena. They've never been in a Battle Royal. Never. This is the first time ever matchup between MJF and Kenny Omega for the AEW World title. And if MJF wins, he will surpass Kenny Omega as the longest reigning AEW World Champion ever. That to me should mean more than it does. And it doesn't. It's just and like everyone is saying, like, oh, the 3-day build, the 3-day build, 3-day build, 3-day build. I've been very careful to not call it a 3-day build, but a 3 days notice, because this thing has been built. It should have come together a year ago. It should have come together in June, when MJF at that point had passed most of the other previous AEW World Champions. It should have come together in September after All In, when the last guy left to pass for MJF was Kenny Omega. The fact that nobody seemed to know that this was happening, that nobody cared that this was happening, that nobody seemed to think, shit, man, maybe we should build this thing up, or actually have Kenny Omega go on a win streak, have MJF talk about this thing. Let's mention this thing anytime before a week ago is when it first got mentioned on AEW television. It got mentioned on Being the Elite a couple of weeks ago, where MJF did that thing and said, like, 90 or 19 days, bitch, or whatever I forget how many of the days were, but it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago that he did that. I'm positive that that's when AEW figured out, oh, shit, all right, yeah, MJF's going to be approaching Kenny Omega's thing. Let's do something with that. So last week they do a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, it's coming up or whatever, and then this week they announce it. This should be a show that is being built up, and I don't need this to be on pay-per-view. I do not need this to be on pay-per-view. I don't care if it's on. This could be on TV. This could be a television special, and they have done that numerous times in this company. Numerous times in this company, they've had a big-time singles match on television, and I've encouraged them, and you've encouraged them, and that is good. They should put big-time singles matches on television. Television drives as much and more business for them than pay-per-views do. So yes, put big-time singles matches on television, but can you try to plan ahead? Can you try to think about this thing a couple steps ahead of time? That's what's disappointing for me more than anything. What's disappointing for me is they got caught with their pants down saying, fuck, MJF's about to pass Kenny Omega. Yeah, we'll just do it on Collision. Boom. And then it's over. And then it'll be a good match. And like you said, it'll be a fuck finish. And then we'll all move on with our lives. And it's like, man, this was a company that used to be 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of time, a year out, a couple years out. And now they're being caught with their pants down with their world title on guys battling for the lineage of it and how long the reigns were or whatever. And that just sucks for me. That's just disappointing for me. I like that bothers me. And I don't know what, maybe I'm a dork for letting that bother me. Maybe I'm stupid for letting that bother me, but I just feel like that sort of stuff should matter. I thought it would matter in this company, and it just doesn't matter in this company. But this is a big deal. This is the first time matchup between two of your biggest stars for the right to say that you were the longest reigning AEW World Champion ever, and it was announced 3 days before the match is going to happen, officially locked in. That sucks. I'm not going to. I'm not down with that. I refuse to think that that's okay. I refuse to think that that is good planning, and that doesn't show that this company is not thinking long term and not planning ahead for things.
Yeah, I think it speaks to, it's another example of their late planning and things coming together at the last minute because they're not planning things far in advance, like you noted, where one of the early identities of this company was, like you said, they knew their next 2 or 3 moves before they made the first move. And that clearly has not been the case over the last couple of years. A lot of it, injury excuses, contract excuses, CM Punk excuses. But for whatever the reason, what's the excuse for this one? Like you said, you knew this date. You could have planted seeds for this.
This Dynamite could have been that. Build it up for a month and say on Dynamite in Philadelphia, a big market, on our flagship show, the battle of MJF versus they knew that this was coming, or they should have known this was coming up, because MJF, he didn't do shit at Wrestle Dream. If you wanted to have it at Wrestle Dream, you could have done that. No, he was facing the Righteous in a 2-on-1 handicap match. All right, if you want to say that there was some Adam Cole grab-ass thing that was supposed to happen instead, and he got hurt, fine, whatever, move on. They knew after All In, I ran the numbers on this piece. By All In, you would have known that the only person left for MJF to pass is Kenny Omega. That should have at least rung someone's alarm bells to say, you know what, guys? Just so you know, MJF's approaching Kenny Omega's all-time reign. Should we do something about that? And if you're in the room, you should be smart enough to say, well, fuck yeah, let's do something for that. That's a big-time singles match. Let's put it on, let's look at the clock and look at where the calendar goes. All right, cool. If we have it on this Dynamite on this day, MJF wins, he will beat and he will pass Kenny Omega in a couple of days afterwards. That is fine with me. If they wanted to do that and a couple of weeks ahead of time, we knew this was happening. Joe, we would have done an instant reaction live for this thing. You know what I mean? This is the type of show that we would say we're doing instant reaction live for this week's Dynamite because it is MJF versus Kenny Omega. You know what I mean? I'm not doing this on 3 days notice on a Saturday of before Halloween. Fuck that. No, I got other stuff to do. You know what I mean? I'm not dropping my plans and changing my plans. There's probably a lot of other people that are like that with me. It's just, to me, it's not, I'm not bothered this match is happening. I'm not annoyed this match is happening. I'm annoyed that it shows that the long-term planning of this company has just gone to absolute shit. And that bothers me. And the title doesn't matter. And the title doesn't fucking matter. Here's MJF with his fucking Ring of Honor World Tag Team title, one half of the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles, sitting there talking to Kenny Omega because his title got stolen by Jay White, and then you have goddamn, Samoa Joe saying, "Hey, I'll watch your back if I can get a title shot." Okay, it's like, can we focus on one thing at a time with this MJF stuff? And they can't. They just can't. Sue Williams, great point in the chat room. You know what would have been a great match for Title fucking Tuesday last week, a couple weeks ago for AEW? A good fucking match for Title goddamn Tuesday. MJF versus Kenny Omega for the fucking AEW World Title. It's a great point by Sue Williams there that I did not bring up and not think of.
Yeah, if you're going to do it anyway.
Title Tuesday. Perfect opportunity to do it. That's going to draw some eyeballs. You want to beat NXT? That's not a bad way to do it.
I just don't think they were ever planning.
No, they weren't.
On this. And I think Tony has kind of been in.
If Being the Elite didn't do that, would anybody have known? Or would have just happened and we just went,
okay. I think Tony is in a mode where he's putting things together at the last minute to boost these ticket sales and these ratings.
Right.
And I gave a couple of examples. This is another one. So I get the sense that, no, they didn't know that this was coming up because they never planned on doing anything in this direction. I'll tell you what, too, Kenny Omega's portion of the promo was terrible. It didn't really get me excited for the match. I mean, he drops the ball sometimes with these promos. And this was an example of that. He did not give a compelling promo face-to-face with it. I thought MJF was fine. He wasn't anything special either, but I thought Kenny in particular wasn't any good. Look, it either speaks to another example of just things coming together late or things coming together sloppily or not. You could have just had him, if you wanted to plan this thing out ahead of time, you could have had MJF just doing a countdown for the last few months.
Right.
I am X amount of days away. It would fit his character. It would fit his gimmick.
The pride that this guy would have. Yeah, that is, it absolutely fits MJF to say, you know what, in 100 days, Kenny, I'm passing you and I'm going to be the longest reigning AEW world champion. I'm taking another thing away from you to prove that I'm the best guy in this company. I'm the best guy we've ever had. I'm the best guy we've ever. No, he's playing fucking grab ass and calling Adam Cole on his phone in the segments. And then we're stuck with our pants down 3 days before and go, fuck. All right, yeah, Kenny versus MJF. It's
now we need something. Yeah, right. Well, look, you're real passionate about it, and I can tell you're fired up about it.
I should stop caring. Why do I care anymore?
You're making all these great points, and the fact of the matter is, anyone who's listened to my reviews for the last few months, maybe the fact that I'm not is I'm just kind of checked out on their stories and their booking, and I'm become more checked out each week. To me, I am no longer emotionally invested in AEW. I have reached a point where I watch the shows every week, partially because I'm covering them, no longer just because I simply enjoy them. And I watch them to see the occasional great match they put together. I watch for the great pay-per-views, and I watch for newsletter reader Tony to rear his head every now and then and give me a Mystico versus Rocky Romero and, give me great pay-per-view matchups and bring in Will Ospreay and do all the things. I know that Tony the Smark is still in there somewhere, right? The problem is I misjudged him a little. Mid-South Tony is just as much sports entertainment Tony. It's just who he is. He likes this shit. Yeah,
it might be time for people to stop doing the thing like, MJF has obviously corrupted his brain, or this guy's corrupted his brain. He likes the shit, man. You know what I mean?
He believe me, there's some of that too.
I'm sure, but he clears it all. It all still goes through him.
But it's very obvious that he likes this shit. You got to stop letting Tony off the hook. Tony likes this Roderick Strong stuff. He likes time. You could tell he loves Timeless Tony.
He loves
by the tone
Tony.
Of his.
Yeah.
He thinks that's brilliant. He thinks that Tony likes this shit. I know Mid-South Tony's in there. And I know newsletter Tony and Smart Tony is in there, but he's sports entertainment Tony too. And, they've pushed me to the point where it's just like, all right, I'm just not emotionally invested in this stuff anymore. I'll watch it to see the bangers like everybody else. I'll watch it for the great pay-per-views. They're all-time pay-per-views. But, I have tapped out and given up the idea that AEW is going to prove that you can do pro wrestling on American TV. I'm done. I'm done waiting for it. I'm done hoping for it. I'm done thinking about because it's not going to happen. It just isn't. Not with MJF around, because MJF wants to be a WWE style Superman babyface. That's what he wants to be, because that's what he grew up watching.
Right. He
emulates The Rock and John Cena and Stone Cold, and those are great people to emulate. If you want to make a lot of money and be known as an enormous star, I don't knock the guy. I just don't have any interest in it. I can see what he's doing, though. That's what he models himself after. That's what he wants to be. Audience participation and catchphrases and signature spots.
The promos where he stops and waits for the crowd to. It's like, man,
so
I can't believe this is the same guy that was doing promos a year ago.
He's someone who I thought was going to be different, and I misjudged him too.
Stop and wait for the crowd. Oh.
He's got his millions. He's got his 7-figure deal, and he's going to be an all-timer. He's going to do all the things he wants to do. That's great. But this is not where I thought we'd be with this company at this point. It just is. And that's why maybe I'm not as worked up about it as you. But, I also do think that this is just Tony trying to drum business.
Right, sure. And you know what? After Saturday, I'll enjoy it, and it'll move on. And it's like, this is something that could have meant something, and now it does. And then, okay, fine. It's a great match, and we'll talk about it, and then we'll review it and move on.
I'll tell you what. People misuse this term, but this is hot-shotting. This is hot-shotting.
Yes.
Tony is hot-shotting, and he's doing it a lot because the business isn't great.
The seat's hot.
And he's trying.
The seat's warm.
That's right. And he's trying to dial it up, and he's got a television contract due soon, and you're hot-shotting a match on 3 days notice. You're hot-shotting Mystico into town. You're hot-shotting Okada into town. Those were announced a couple days ahead. And it's also, don't overlook this either. You get the sense that Tony believes in announcing things late. I think it's somewhat strategic as well, because he does it a lot with his pay-per-views, where a lot of the matches don't come together in some cases until less than 24 hours before the show. So he kind of philosophically believes in announcing some things later. So I think it's a combination of all of those things. But, I don't know. I don't get, I'm not emotionally invested in the booking anymore. The only thing that drives my emotion in this company is the horse shit, childish, juvenile nonsense all over Dynamite. That pisses me off. And, Roderick Strong and all that bullshit. That, and I'm going to tell people right now, I know a lot of people are sick of hearing it. It ain't going anywhere. The pedal is on the fucking floor and it's staying there because someone has to say it. Okay? As long as they're giving it to me, I'm going to complain about it until I stop doing the reviews, which isn't impossible, by the way. You know me, Rich. I can be very fickle.
You've quit before.
When I've had it, I've fucking had it. When I've finally had it and made a decision, I'm done. Okay? And, but until then, if you keep giving me this shit, I'm going to keep complaining about it and telling people why it fucking sucks. So that annoys me. I still see people saying, oh, maybe MJF turning down Roddy and turning down Max Caster is writing that stuff off.
Okay.
Stop.
Probably not, but okay.
It's wishful thinking. I was told I was crazy 6 months ago. Slowly, people are coming around and hopping on my bandwagon and go, holy shit, you're right. And those people who are still holding out hope, I'm just, you poor thing.
I'm sure they've all formed an orderly line to apologize, right?
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I've gotten some DMs.
Look at that.
Tell you what, I would never say names, obviously. I got one for you. I'll just read you what it says.
Great radio, by the way. Take it.
Listening to the TV review, I hate how fucking right you were, but you were. And it goes on to say some other stuff that might reveal who it was. Basically, someone who's a well-respected, connected person who vehemently disagreed with me when I talked about the directions things were going. But someone that I get along fine with and everything. But so I do get stuff like that from various people, But look, this shit's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere.
You told people December.
Didn't we warn people about the fucking giraffe?
The giraffe. Nobody listened to us about the giraffe, and that. I feel like it's getting bigger every week too, right? I feel like the giraffe's getting bigger. This week it was huge. It's just, I don't know if I'm focusing on the giraffe more, but like such a large giraffe. But yeah, that fucking giraffe will be everywhere. It'll be on a shirt and it'll be in every single match and people will chant giraffe, giraffe, giraffe at point. Yes, that giraffe is not going anywhere. Of course it's not.
Yeah.
And everyone's got a thing now. Garrett Kinney, great tweet last week. Phenomenal tweet last week. Obviously, also the co-host of the You've Got to Be Kidding Me podcast on the Voice Wrestling Podcast Network says, if I'm paraphrasing, I won't get the exact tweet out, but essentially just how much AEW's fan base has changed is Daniel Garcia used to get chanted, he's a wrestler, and now they chant, do the dance.
Yeah.
Says it all right there.
Here you go. I was hoping some balance would kick in for AEW post All In, but we aren't seeing it, and there's some real red flashing lights now. But yeah, I admit, I rolled my eyes at many of the TV reviews in the spring, and now I just want to turn this stuff off.
Look at that. All right. So you are kind of getting apologies. I'm surprised. Look at this.
I don't want it to be this way. I want this company to be great. I just wanted them to do it different. And they're not.
Nah, it's over. It's fine.
It's the same old shit.
So it's
dressed up with some better matches.
They still have phenomenal matches. So as long as they still have good matches and good pay-per-views, I'm still tuned in. I'm still watching. But yeah, the day-to-day booking where I care and shit is probably done.
You know, I wanted to prove that you can do and this will probably be the only chance any of us will have in our lifetimes, because this was the perfect storm. With the right person to do it, with the right money, with the right connections, at the right time, with the right stars. You know, and it's just disappointing from that standpoint.
Yeah,
but that might explain why I'm not as wound up about this in particular.
And that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this week's Dynamite too. There was like over the course of maybe 3 or 4 different segments, you went from just the amount of like old dudes you had in the ring. It's just like, what are we doing here, man? Like, are we sure we really need Sting, Ric Flair, Jeff Jarrett, Edge, Christian, Paul White? Do we really need all these guys in a row? Like, why are you so old?
That was a big talking point coming out of the show too. And again, that's just something I didn't even notice because I'm not locked in that way anymore.
So here's the exact. It was Rob Van Dam, Sting, Flair, Jericho, the Hardys, Christian, and Edge, and Jeff Jarrett, all in like a very tight package of the middle of the show, and it's like,
I don't know. I'm more bothered by Roderick Strong and Timeless
That's
Tony.
fair. Yeah, well, I mean, that stuff is far worse.
I'm more bothered by that because I know more's coming. The giraffe, I'm far more bothered by that because
like we always say, there's everybody in that locker room that's not getting a push, that's not getting if you're Kip Sabians of the world is thinking, what can my thing be? What's my thing?
Yeah.
Everyone's thinking what their thing can be. They need to have a thing now. Daniel Garcia's got his thing, the dance. You know, everybody's got to have a thing now. And that, you know, instead of just being...
Sounds familiar.
It does sound familiar. All right.
And look, and I think it might ultimately work for them. Who knows? But again, that was never my point. My point was I wanted this to be an alternative. And it you know, but anyway, we do this rant a lot.
Yeah, so let's move on here. So, all right. We got 2 things here. Let's start with the All Japan Pro Wrestling. Real quick on All Japan Pro Wrestling. October 21st, they had a big-time show. This was Yuma Aoyagi defending the Triple Crown title against Kento Miyahara. He does successfully do it against this. I think 2 in a row, I want to say, that Yuma Aoyagi has beaten Kento Miyahara. Might be 3 in a row, but I think for sure 2 in a row. So he's starting to get a bit of a win streak going here and getting a little bit of momentum here over Kento Miyahara after so many years of not being able to get past him and not being able to, you know, defeat him. Yuma Aoyagi kind of feels like the dude right now. You know, I mean, he's a Triple Crown champion. He's held it for a little while now. He's defended against Kento Miyahara. So that was good, and we'll talk about that match here in a sec. But I think the big news out of this, though, was, to me, the shocking debut. I don't know about you. I was shocked when this man showed up, and the people in the crowd were shocked as well when, after the match, Kento Miyahara is done. He goes to the outside to kind of get outside of the ring, and all of a sudden, here comes Katsuhiko Nakajima, former Noah wrestler. Nakajima shows up with a bouquet of roses to hand to Kento Miyahara, but he's not handing it. It's professional wrestling. He smacks him with the roses and leaves through the crowd, presumably making his debut in All Japan Pro Wrestling. And what a coup for All Japan Pro Wrestling, man. What a signing. I'm all in on Nakajima in All Japan Pro Wrestling. Where are you at with that?
I don't mean to derail. Actually, you know, I'm not going to do it. You can find it yourself. I need you to go find John LaRocca's comments on Lola Vice. I saw that.
I saw. We'll talk about it on our Discord. Go to voicewrestling.com/Discord. Yeah. Now we know it's a gimmick and it's just fake. Yes. Yeah, so.
He's a gimmick. He has to be a gimmick.
So just block and move on with your life. Yeah. He's a gimmick.
And they had oomph on their stripes.
No. They had the opposite of oomph on their strikes, sir. You were watching a different match than me, or you're a bad.
Not only is he not doing a gimmick, it doesn't get any traction.
No.
All right. So what'd you ask me? You asked me about Kento Miyahara and Yuma Aoyagi.
You were quite. No. I asked you about Nakajima. I know you were quite distracted. I asked you about the debut, All Japan Pro Wrestling debut of Nakajima, who comes out through the crowd, gets those gasps that you only get from a Puro jump. You know what I mean? Where the women are just like, oh my, wow. They're just screaming, they're just yelling, they're just weeping as it's happening, as Nakajima shows up in this building in All Japan Pro Wrestling with a bouquet of roses, hits Kento Miyahara with those roses, and you know those guys, no love lost between those guys over the years, but it appears that they'll start a feud there. At least I think they've come to, they've eased up a little bit over those. They might still despise each other, but might still think, hey, let's make some money while we despise each other. But
they're clearly doing business.
Yeah, they're doing business together, which that's fine. That's you know, who cares?
This is not.
I don't need them to go to dinner together. I just need them to make money together and have good wrestling matches. So
hey, look, if this is his where he's going, if he's ultimately ending up in All Japan, that's a nice surprise, and we know for a fact that AEW had interest because Tony Khan said so publicly. And I don't know if WWE would have. He would have gotten nowhere there. I mean, let's be honest.
Oh God, that would have been terrible. Yeah.
But I mean, if he just finally wore out his welcome in Noah with the management, with the wrestlers, and if
a great
All
move.
Japan
He was not going to go any better. Nothing was ever going to get better in Noah. Nothing was going to get better.
Not for him. No way. Not a chance. And a lot of it is own doing. Let's be honest. He's a surly guy who makes bad decisions, and he's a hothead, and a lot of people don't like him. But
other than that,
yeah, no. But he, if he just decided I got to get out of there, and if this, because he could just be a freelancer, he could be, biding his time and have a deal with somebody else, New Japan or WWE or AEW, that doesn't start for a while. But if this is his final destination, man, I am excited about Katsuhiko Nakajima entering that All Japan mix in 2024 because they have had a great year. I mean, am I watching every show from Shinkiba First Ring? I am not. I'm watching all the shows that matter. I'm watching all the matches that matter. They have creeped up on Noah in attendance right under everybody's nose with a fraction of the resources and backing. All Japan, let's be honest, it's an indie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fucking indie with a legacy
scratching and
name.
clawing every day to survive.
Yes, with a legacy name is the only reason you wouldn't consider it one. You give them the respect because they have the All Japan name. Noah is backed by a fucking corporate conglomerate. And you could see it in the production values and everything else and the budget. And All Japan has creeped up and caught them in attendance, which is what happens when you poison the well by sending Jake Lee to those guys. Right?
Yeah, what a
you
coup.
let Jake
What
Lee...
a coup to take. Yeah, you know what? Oh, you took Jake Lee. Gosh darn it. Peanuts.
Darn.
What are we going to do without Jake Lee?
It'd be a real shame. It'd be a real shame if you push him now.
Yeah,
It'd be a real
shooters.
shame.
You'd really get us in the heart if you pushed him and made him your champion and your top star.
Right. We joke, but All Japan, they tried that guy. It didn't work out. And now Noah's trying him on top, and he's bombing badly. He's not even having good matches, let alone drawing. And
yeah, I think he's got a match. What is it, this weekend or next weekend? That the attendance is looking ghastly right now. It does not look good at all.
And All Japan is right on their heels in attendance and doing better than them, in some of these buildings. And, to add Nakajima to that mix with, Aoyagi has been the opposite of Jake Lee. He's been a massive success as Triple Crown champion. That's worked out great, and in hindsight, it's better that they waited till COVID was firmly in the rear view to belt him up. That definitely has turned out to be better for him and better for the company. And, he beats Miyahara. And then, like you said, Nakajima comes down, smacks Miyahara in the face with the bouquet of flowers.
So apparently, and the chat room's letting us know here, Suit let us know that Jojo Remy, who has done stuff for Voice of Wrestling over the years, translated that Nakajima brought the flowers because he thought Miyahara was winning. So a little bit of, as he probably goes down there, saying like, I brought these because I thought you'd win, but you're a fucking failure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then hits him with the flowers, which is even better. It's straight Nakajima. That's so Nakajima right there to be like, you fucking asshole. I brought flowers.
Makes it even better.
Yeah,
like,
it's so good.
You ruined my challenge because I beat you last time. And right. I beat you head to head, and I was going to come down here and challenge, and you failed because you're a fucking loser. And he smacks him in the face with the flowers.
It's so good.
And
All Japan's back, baby. All Japan rocks, man. We're back.
And then he leaves, but he leaves out the public entrance.
Right.
He doesn't go to the back.
Mm-mm.
So look, if he's sticking around, great. If he's coming to just, if Miyahara's just getting his win back on his home turf. Remember, I opined that, Nakajima wins. Well, maybe Miyahara gets the win back down the line on his home turf. We'll see. But it's like, actually, I forget where the first match was. Either way, Miyahara to get the win back. Or if he's sticking around, I think that'd be even better. And it's a gutsy move by Nakajima to leave the stronger, more stable on paper company to go to the glorified indie. But they're on the come, and Noah has been declining rapidly since the Muto stuff wrapped up.
It was Noah, by the way. It was Corkin Hall, Noah One Night Dream was
I thought it
Nakajima
was
defeating Miyahara. Just so everybody knew. So.
I remember my talking point was, all right, well, then Miyahara can win on his home turf, and you could even this thing out. So, he'd be a great, he's got the built-in feud if he does decide.
It's when he showed up, I was just like, oh man, that rocks. That is, there's no better guy to add to All Japan right now than
doesn't
Nakajima.
It feel like they're just missing one more guy?
Yeah.
And that he could be the guy. You know what I mean? It's like,
I was done with the show and I ran to our Discord and I just said, All Japan is back in all caps. I was like, yes, I'm in. I'm all in.
At the top.
Yeah.
What's always been their problem? Repetitive Triple Crown matches. They put the title on someone and they go through all three they go through Suwama and Miyahara and it's like, and I know they're trying to get Neo Nomura back and then he got injured, and he'll get back in the mix when he's healthy, I guess. They'll try to woo him to come back
right,
again.
And sometimes they'll bring in an outsider, so your Yuji Nagata run with it or whatever to kind of take
Kojima.
Yeah, your Kojimas to kind of take it off of those same guys, the Suwamas, Miyaharas guys for a while. Yeah. So now they've
so it'd be great if they could add another permanent fixture at the top there, especially with Tsuji Ishikawa moving down the card over the last 2 years because his body is just fucking shot. But what a year they've had. They've really, it's like ripping down old nasty wallpaper and getting some contemporary paint up and just improving the look of they've just done a total rebuild. And we'll see. It's also possible he's just going to do his one match, maybe first week of January, right? Or I don't even know if they've booked the match yet. I might be behind.
I don't think it's officially. I don't think anything's gone officially on that. So
maybe you do it, save it for January, or you do a big card in December or something. And then maybe he is off maybe he shows up at New Year Dash, right? Maybe he, that's entirely possible. But for now, I'm just going to enjoy it. I thought it was a great angle. And listen, the match fucking rocked. I mean,
so good.
The Miyahara Aoyagi match itself.
Aoyagi's getting better, man. He's got confidence. He's getting better. He's feeling himself a little bit. He's there.
I went 4 3/4 on that.
I went 4.5.
I thought about going 5. And, and that was coming off of the Saito brothers winning the tag team titles from Aoyagi and Miyahara on that show which drew very well, by the way.
Yeah, it was the Saito's hometown, right? Is that what the gimmick was with that match?
Because they were getting cheered like crazy.
Right. I think that's what the gimmick was there, and that's probably why they sold well. They've made the Saitos a draw. What are we doing, man? That's good.
But you look at this show in let me pull it up. I think it's Miyagi. Yeah, Miyagi. They drew 1,687 fans to that show.
You can't scoff at that, man.
For there's no Triple Crown match. It's Voodoo It was the Saitos against Miyahara and Aoyagi for the tag titles. They went almost 40 minutes. And that match fucking rocked. I went 4.5 on that match.
Yeah, people will not believe that match was as good as it was. That the Saitos.
No, but it was.
And it was. It was every bit of that with a hot crowd. A really hot crowd.
Red hot crowd. The first half of the match was the Saitos doing Saito things. And then the back end of the match was like watching a classic All Japan tag from a fucking real world tag league in 91 or something.
So good.
It was so
complete
good.
With your big giant dudes and then your smaller, upstart your Japanese guy. It was perfect.
Yeah. All heart, fighting spirit shit. It's like, it's such a great match. And, Saito's are going to be hard pressed to ever have a match that good again. So, man, so they got the tag titles off of them right before the Triple Crown match, which was, I guess, 2 weeks later it was on the 21st, right?
21st, yeah. October 21st, yeah.
And that drew 1,340, which, New Japan sellout right now is what, 1,470? So
yeah, I think around there. Yeah.
Somewhere in that neighborhood is the New Japan sellout. So, again, another strong Korakuen number, for the Triple Crown match. And, they've got Yuma Anzai, who, is another young guy who obviously is improving at a rapid rate. They've elevated Ryuki Honda.
I was going to say Ryuki Honda is a guy who feels like he's next up to be elevated maybe to that next level. Anzai is probably the guy that's probably ahead of him just because Anzai is. But I feel like Anzai is more of a long-term guy, whereas Ryuki Honda, maybe you can kind of get him ready for that next level sooner than you would Anzai, because Anzai, when he goes to that top level, he's going to be at the top level, and then you probably want to make sure that that's the exact right time for that. for him. But yeah, you got Honda who's been pretty good, and I just like a lot of their booking down card as well. I mean, they're bringing in a lot of cool dudes from the guys that they are bringing in are all pretty solid. On this night you had Naruki Doi show up and those sort of guys. So I don't know. Yeah,
Doi's been in and out all year. Minoru Suzuki has been in and out because he has that unit. Suzuki has a unit with Naruki Doi and I always forget Hokuto Omori.
Hokuto Omori.
They've been in and out and they've been kind of working together. And they brought in Kojima last month for a little run, and he had the title match against Aoyagi, which was a great match. And then Aoyagi later in the month defended against Ryuki Honda, and I went 4.5 on that match. So they've mixed and matched very well with the guys they brought in. Earlier in the year, they were fucking around with Onita, trying to get squeeze the last bit of drawing power out of him.
That was there were some rough periods there where I was like,
but it was different. It was different, and it all of this has combined to inject some life. And Rising Hayato is a guy who I used to loathe, and he is much improved this year.
I love that. That opener was solid as hell. That Aoyagi and Rising Hayato versus Omori and Yoshitatsu, Takao Omori. Yoshitatsu, nothing to really scoff at, but that the Aoyagi Hayato team is good. They're really, really good. And yeah, I'm with you. I've kind of always like, I don't know about this guy, but he's won me over for sure.
They brought the DDT. They had Harashima on that show. They had they fucking Shinya Aoki on the show. Like they do different and interesting things, and they've been doing that all year long. And so I'm really looking forward to them building on that in 2024. Look, we were on top of this in January. It was obvious in January that All Japan wasn't fucking around this year, and they were going to be different. If nothing else, they were going to be different. And we're going to remember this year for them as the year that Yuma Aoyagi finally got the big push and got the title. And now it's his company. This is his company now. He's had too many great matches. He is a legitimate Wrestler of the Year contender. He's not going to win. He's not going to finish top 3. But this is a legitimate down ballot Wrestler of the Year contender. Mm-hmm. For what he has done on their scale. Not just having great matches every single time out. Look at their business improvements. You can't overlook them come award time, Aoyagi. You can't. So, I am hoping Nakajima sticks around. That'd be the healthiest thing for All Japan and for the scene, rather than just New Japan picking up another guy.
Right, that would stink.
Right.
Yeah, and just add him to another unit or whatever.
I'm not going to complain necessarily if he ends up in New Japan. How can you?
But it'd be so much healthier for the business for him.
All Japan to end up. Yes, so much healthier. The New Japan doesn't need him. They got half a dozen fucking guys on the verge of becoming stars.
Right, they're not going to be able to push him into the main event scene because there's just too many other guys there, and he's not adding any tangible amount to their business. The not like he would do with All Japan, or not like he could do with All Japan, I should say.
Yeah, and WWE would be a complete disaster for him.
Yeah, please don't.
And AEW, maybe a couple years ago, I'd be juiced up for that. I don't get excited about them bringing people in anymore, as I used to. I just be like, oh man, there's a free agent. Let's go, AEW. Now it's like, oh, all right, if that guy goes to AEW, he'll get pushed
who
for
knows?
a month.
He might be walking around with chopsticks or something at this point with the way that they fucking book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or he'll just disappear for 6 weeks.
Right, he'll have one cool match. You're like, hell yeah, brother. And then he goes away for 8 months, and you're like, oh yeah, they have Nakajima, don't they?
It's like Takeshita just beats Kenny Omega twice and then goes into witness protection.
Yeah.
I know he's on Rampage this week.
But Joe, he's hurt, even though he wrestles indies and is on Rampage now.
How did they not fucking follow up at all? Oh, he can't be on TV? Well, even if he is hurt? So it's like, I don't want to get back into that, but it's like, yeah, so I would, the point here is I would prefer he stick around with All Japan. And yes, everyone needs to go watch that fucking Aoyagi Miyahara match and the tag team title change.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And stick around for the post-match angle with Nakajima.
Yeah, that match. Do not skip the match. Watch the match for sure, and then go watch the angle. Yeah, it's funny because the 1, 2, 3 happened, and I closed out of the window, and then I went and read something about the match, or just trying to see if it kind of matched up with what I thought about the match. And I see the name Nakajima. I'm like, what the fuck happened here? And I'm like, oh my god! And I went back to the video and then watched it, and I was like, fuck yeah, that's so good. So it spoiled me a little bit. I wish I hadn't been spoiled at all, but still still a pretty awesome moment there. So, all right. Real quick before we go, since we're a little over time, but we had some stops and starts at the beginning of the show, so I think we got a little bit of time overall. This will not take long. We'll make sure it doesn't take very long. Joe, are you ready to preview?
Speak for yourself, sir.
NWA Samhain.
Samhain?
What? No, this is different than what you said before.
Samhain.
Yeah, you were like
Samhain.
Samhain. That's what you said earlier.
Samhain.
Yeah.
Samhain.
Always good to promote a show where nobody knows how to pronounce what it's called. Always. At Billy doing
fucking A. Yeah.
doing some good work here, as per usual. Of course, this is available at voicesofwrestling.com/fight. October 28th, a busy Saturday. So if you're watching Collision, if you're in the house, you can also watch NWA Samhain from the Temple Live at Cleveland Masonic, which I don't know if that sounds like a hospital, but I'm not sure what Temple Live at Cleveland Masonic is. It might be a cafeteria in a hospital or something like that, or like an operating room, with the seats above the operating room or something. So.
Cleveland Masonic. It is going to be an ugly room, isn't it?
I have a feeling it is not going to be very pretty at the.
It's like a VFW hall level. Because isn't Masonic isn't that like the Freemasons?
Yeah. Like so
it's I go one
to
of those
Dreamwave shows at the Knights of Columbus, building.
Right.
So.
It's gonna be one of those kind of gimmicks where you book
the top floor, the bottom floor has got like a bar or whatever, a restaurant, and you book the top.
Right. There's a bunch of old guys drinking at the couple guys bar, and then whatever party you're attending is on the other floor. Yeah, that's the kind of building this is. Which
Temple Live.
This is what the CW is getting into, I guess. But look, I'll give Corgan credit for this. He shamelessly understands that his product is different, and he wants it to be different. I think his product is mostly boring. I don't think his product is very good. But is it different from everything else you're going to see on TV when it hits the CW? It is different, and. I can't knock him for that. He's not trying to do, WWE extra light. He's not trying to do that. He's not trying to, he doesn't want, he's not.
They are doing their own thing for sure. There is only one NWA in this world right now, and that is. They're
not trying to be a work rate promotion. They're not, they're doing their own thing. And, when it doesn't land, it's some of the worst shit you'll ever see. And when it does, well, it never really lands, but when
it doesn't land often, but there's something about it. I don't know what it is. And I talk about this every time we review it. At the end of the day, it's just like, at least it's just, I feel like I'm watching something different. A lot of times when I'm watching all of this wrestling, a lot of it just kind of, all the same, and everybody's hitting each other with the same weapons, and everyone's doing. It's a lot of stuff that's very samey. There is nothing samey about the National Wrestling Alliance.
It's slightly below. It's slightly below replacement level wrestling when it's just average. That's it's not quite average. It's not quite replacement level. It's like slightly below replacement level. It's like a minus 0.5 WAR player at its best, which is the worst fucking praise I could give anything, but that's what it is.
A guy on the verge of getting cut potentially if anybody else comes into the system, or there's
someone who is always a day away from being DFA'd.
Yeah,
it's just that's what it is.
Looking at the minor league, going, look at the minor league box scores, looking at that guy in Double-A and going, damn it.
He's like, who's on a rehab assignment because they're taking my spot when they're healthy, and I'm getting DFA'd. Yeah, so, but again, I think the production values when it hits the CW will surprise some people. They shoot in 4K. The show the power looks great, and I don't know, their new entrances doesn't work for me. They've changed the way pro wrestling entrances are done. It's like they shoot the entranceway and do kind of this John Morrison slow motion thing while the music plays. And then they don't show the full entrance of the wrestler, like walking to the ring or around the ring, and then they cut to the next person, while Joe Galley does like a overdub explaining who they are. It's different. Again, it's different.
It's different. That's all I can ask for.
I don't like it.
I wish it was good, but that's all I can ask for is different right now. All right.
I think it comes off second rate, those entrances, but it comes off almost like I don't know, almost like a a cheap, low rent. Well, it's kind of what.
Go on.
I don't.
Yes.
I don't know. It's just it's entrances are an important part of wrestling to me. So trying to change that, I don't think is wise. But again, it at least comes across different. But look, the pay-per-view is overbooked again. There's 100 fucking matches on this thing. I don't know anyone who's worked up for EC3 versus Tom Latimer for the.
But it's a
NWA
no limits match
title.
though. I don't know if that's like the TNA X division, which of course is not about weight limits. It's about no limits. I don't know what a no limits match is. Do you know?
I promise you, I watched every episode of Power since the last pay-per-view.
No limits matches.
I don't know what any of these matches are.
Damn it! All right.
I know what the Riddle Box is because Violent J did an explanatory video on the last Power explaining the Riddle Box match, which is Violent J and the Brothers of Funstruction against Vampiro and La Rebellion. Yes,
Put Vampiro in the ring again. All right. The guy who the last time he was in the ring literally couldn't take a step. He's back. All right, good. Great.
So they're going to have boxes all over the place loaded with weapons, basically. But everything has a step. Are you ready for the Devil's Last Dance Ultimate Hardcore War?
Of course I am.
Are you ready for the Burning Lake Brawl?
I need to know about the Burning Lake Brawl. I got to know what that is.
I wish I could tell you. Thrillbilly Silas Mason defends the national title against Chris Adonis, which has
Burning
a
Lake
chance
Brawl
to be a 2 3/4 star match and the best match on the show. And I don't know what the fuck it is. How about Pillar to Post for the junior title? Colby Carino versus Joe Alonzo.
Now, is this okay? This one, is it a strap match?
I don't know.
Okay, I had a guess about that, but I guess you cannot confirm.
I either don't pay
that. Yeah.
listen. I either don't pay close enough attention, or they never explain anything.
I would guess that they probably don't explain it. It would be my guess. So you got that Knights of the Round tables match. I think I get this one. I bet this is going to be a tables match. My favorite tag team in the world. Not really. Carnage and Destruction, or Carnage and Damage of the Blunt Force Trauma versus Knox and Murdoch in the Knights of the Round tables match.
Blunt Force Trauma, affectionately known as Dollar Store Doom.
Right. I love this. Is so weird that like all these other things are like Halloween themed. Like this, if you go to the NWA's website, it's like join us for a spooktacular night of wrestling or whatever. And then like all these other things are like the Riddles Box, the Devil's Last Dance, the Burning Lake, and then it's like Knights of the Round Table. Is that scary or something scary?
It's like NXT for hillbillies, or
right?
something.
But like, why is Knights of the Round? Like, is that scary? Are people scared by the medieval times or something? I don't know.
Look, man. Here's the thing: you have questions, I don't have answers. Okay, right. I don't know what to tell you. Matt Cardona's on the show because he's on every fucking show.
Yeah,
I don't know.
versus TBA, always dangerous.
They finally pushed Talos, the tall guy.
Yeah.
That we complained about. They have a 7-footer. If you're the NWA and you have a 7-foot man on your roster, you push him. You're the NWA. It's a 7-foot man. It's like Impact with Feel the Glow. You just got to push him.
You got to push Talos. You got to do it.
So they finally did. He's one half of the U.S. Tag Champs.
There it is.
Now listen, Daisy Kill and Talos, they're not making anyone forget the Fantastics, okay? But they're the U.S. Tag Champs, and they're going to defend against JR Kratos and Odinson
on the pre-show,
who most people are familiar with.
On the pre-show, one of 4 matches.
Pre-show match?
Is a pre-show match. Yeah, one of 4 matches.
God damn it! I thought that was on the pay-per-view.
No.
Celeste. All right. Well, either way,
Celeste is getting a booking. I believe this is Celeste, whatever it was, Bonin, or what was her last name? The former.
Is it?
I think so. I don't know if it is for sure. I would assume it is. The former, what was she? Tiffany? It's not her. Okay, it's a different Celeste. I apologize.
Well, who's this Tiffany Nieves?
I don't know who that is either.
I don't know either. Who knows?
Okay, so sorry. This Celeste is not that Celeste. Not that Celeste. Sorry, move on.
You know the fucked up thing? I watched this show.
You spent how many hours watching NWA, and you know as much as I do about this show. And I've watched 0.
It's incredible.
I've watched nothing. You know exactly the same amount that I do. Rock and roll tag team match. Let's talk about this one. The Southern Six, Kerry Morton and Alex Taylor with Ricky Morton versus the Headbangers. Yes, those Headbangers, Mosh and Thrasher.
And I promise you they weren't on any of the TV. So I don't know how this match came to be. Now, the Southern Six is a cool little group. It's Kerry Morton, Ricky Morton, Alex Taylor, and Silas, Billy Silas. They cut good promos. It's some of the better wrestlers in the company. I don't know why. They're wrestling the fucking Headbangers. I don't know. Get them out there. Did you notice the picture of the Headbangers they're using in their socials?
Are like from 1998, man. Not even of their ROH run, of like mid-attitude era.
Yes. Absolutely.
Not even that fucking horrific run that Jim Cornette put him on in the NWA or the
Guardians of Truth.
Yeah, the Guardians of Truth in Ring of Honor. No, Mosh and Thrasher. Dude, I saw those dudes at a hockey game right around that time, 1998. Those dudes are fucking massive. You don't realize, like, it's one of those things with like wrestlers, like Billy Gunn. Dude, you walk into a building and Billy Gunn is there with normal human beings. He's like the fucking biggest dude you've ever seen in your entire life.
Yeah. Well, there's all those pictures of Billy Gunn next to Brock Lesnar, and he's like just as big.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's massive. But then, I'm walking around the concourse of the United Center or whatever. It was like the night before WWE pay-per-view or whatever. And here come these fucking monsters. I'm like, damn, those guys are huge. And I'm like, wait a minute. Those are the Headbangers.
Yeah.
They're fucking
That's Mosh.
massive. Yeah. He's so big. Like Thrasher's like 6'2", 6'3", or whatever. Just fucking Mosh is just yoked out of his mind. I'm like, man, wrestlers are a different animal. But there you go.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. It's all
right. So we have two things to note of chat room I got to bring up. Z says, and I don't know if I believe this or not because how could I possibly know this?
That Z is a prankster.
He is a prankster. He says, I know what the rules of the Kings of the Round Table match is. It's just a table match, but the tables are round. I don't buy that. I don't think the tables are going to be round. I think they're just normal.
You got to be careful with Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does bring up a good point, though, about the Southern Six. He wants to know why they're called the Southern Six when there's only 3 members.
Listen, again, you ask questions, I don't have the answers, okay? There's never been 6 members of that crew.
Never close. Never even remotely close.
No, even with Ricky Morton, it's like 4 at tops.
Right.
You know? So I don't have an answer for you. But listen, it really is a different product.
Absolutely is. Submission match between Jack Stane and Blake Bulletproof Troop.
You see, you wanted to talk about that so you can
just so people know it's not Black Troop. Just so they
that's
know.
Been bothering you for
it
months.
Has been bothering me. It's stuck in my craw. Isn't that the term? Stuck in my craw about
it's been sticking in the craw for sure. You know, so you know what I want to see in the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance on the CW? I want to see Brock Anderson. What do you think of that?
Oh, I love it.
Free agent.
Do the wrist roll thing like his dad did.
Wouldn't he fit in here?
Oh, absolutely.
He'd get in there with AJ Kazana. All the second generation guys, right?
Right.
You know, Joe Kazana.
Help take down
here
the
all the
Outrunners.
time. He manages his son constantly. Joe Kazana's all over the show. AJ Kazana. You got Samantha Starr, which is Baby Doll and Sam Houston's kid. The Mortons, obviously.
Yeah, you got the Mortons.
Got to get Brock Anderson in there. There's so many things you could do. Colby Carino. A lot of second gen.
You did forget to mention,
they wasted no time.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying nothing important. Believe me.
You forgot to mention the Devil's Last Dance Ultimate Hardcore War. That if Sal and Gags the Gimp, if their team loses, they will forever be indentured to Father James Mitchell. So,
you know, I think in 2023, it's very important to do a slavery gimmick. That's right. Something that
with a man called Gags the Gimp.
Yeah. If anything's going to get over in 2023, it's going to be a slavery angle.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll work.
Yeah,
that's.
Yeah, so, you know, Magic Jake Dumas, you know, we're big fans. He's got a whole stable now, Magic Inc.
I love it.
Yep, CJ. CJ's great. Listen.
She's so good.
Unironically great as the presenter.
Much better, better than as this than she was as Christy James. Yeah.
The Brazilian fucking
not good wrestler. The Brazilian not that good wrestler.
The Brazilian not a very good wrestler. Outstanding. Yeah, no, she's great as the presenter. There's no doubt, you know. And so he's got a little partner, Magic Jake Dumas, now with this Magic Inc. So, it's the National Wrestling Alliance.
Get into it, man. We'll talk about it next week.
It's chicken. It's fried chicken. I like fried chicken. It's the National Wrestling Alliance.
I got to watch a show on like Sunday morning, man. I cannot wait for Tuesday afternoon or whatever.
You can't do it at work again.
I'm not going to do it on Saturday night because that seems ridiculous too, but I got to like wake up Sunday at like 5 a.m. and just bang this thing out.
Wouldn't you think with the Outrunners being on Collision every week, he'd want to push them a little harder here?
Yeah, they're on the opener of the pre-show, it looks like. So.
Yeah, they're managed by Austin Idol. Wouldn't you want to take advantage of their television exposure? I'm just, I know I'm a crazy thinker sometimes.
I would probably do something with the Outrunners, but Gags the Gimp. I mean, what do you do with Sal and Gags the Gimp in that case?
It's a good point. I mean, Violent J can't be coming cheap. The man's rich, right? I mean,
oh God, yeah, absolutely. I wonder what Violent J's.
Is he rolling out of bed for $50 payoffs?
Violent J's net worth. Let's see. Should have asked Case to ask him when he was.
This is always accurate when you Google a net worth. But let's give it a go.
Celebrity net worth. This is probably wrong. Says $13 million. Is what
probably
it's
not that far off.
No.
There's a lot of fucking gigolos out, whatever they're called.
Juggalos.
They're called juggalos.
Juggalos.
A lot of juggalos out there.
I will say this website also, it gave me suggested for Marty Jannetty, and it says he's worth $1 million.
He may have been at one point.
That Marty Jannetty's bank account has that many zeros in it.
No,
so.
that
I don't think Marty's bank account's doing that great right now. So.
Yeah, now he. I'm gonna be nice to Marty. But
I don't think you have to be nice to Marty. He's kind of weird. Yeah,
I kind of feel bad for Marty. There's clearly something's wrong there. So
Either way, I don't think his net worth is currently $1 million.
So. Punching down, right?
Yeah, right.
Tell 13-year-old JL that one day he would refuse to punch down on Marty Jannetty. Yeah.
That I'm going to be the bigger man and not take this opportunity to laugh at Marty Jannetty.
Marty Jannetty, who is a tremendous wrestler who I enjoy a lot. One day I'm not going to want to, because I'm,
you're going to feel bad for him.
Want to leave him alone
for your position in the world.
From my ivory tower, I'm not going to be picking on Marty Jannetty. Yeah, man, that's the show. What I like to do,
Samhain,
because I know Rich has this thing he has to mention every match. So I like to say I'm rapping it, and then Rich has to sneak in keeps jumping in there with a match.
I think we got it all. I think we got them all.
You got them all now? Okay.
Kenzie Page.
I didn't hear you talk about
NWA Women's World Championship. Kenzie Page, Ruthie J.
Yeah.
Pretty empowered. My favorite tag team in the world, next to Blunt Force Trauma. Pretty empowered. Against Markova, right. And I tell you, Markova and Taylor Risen. That should be a doozy indeed.
No Camille, taking some time off here.
No, she's with Tom Latimer in the main event.
Yeah.
With Tom Latimer, yeah.
With Tom Latimer.
And then No Limits
you didn't
match.
You didn't bring up Brady Pierce versus Rush Freeman. I'm disappointed.
I guess I did miss that one. You're right.
You didn't break that one down. Have me break that, because I had a lot to say about it and you never brought it up.
One note about NWA Samhain is no more Velvet on commentary though, so I think it's just Galley and
she's out of company.
Galley, Tim Storm, and hopefully not fucking Danny Deals.
It's going to be Danny Deals.
God damn it!
Yeah, it's going to be Danny Deals. Talking about gambling and everything else. Yeah.
Just the lowest hanging fruit early 2000s indie manager you could possibly imagine. You know what I mean?
Good. He's good, Danny Deals. I like Danny Deals.
How do you like Danny Deals?
I've come around on Danny Deals. His commentary.
It's like, hey Joe, you think I got some good odds on this match? And he's just like, I don't know, Danny. I'm not sure.
He's like some guys I've known,
Right. I think I can get a good deal on this guy. I think his odds are good. It's just like, he's like, it's just so bad. Oh,
yeah.
It's just like a high school theater production of a trashy bookie dude. I guess I've turned around on Danny Deals too. I guess it's fine. So.
On commentary, he's fine.
He's fine. Yeah. With his tumbler, he always shows up with his tumbler too. He's rehydrated throughout the show. Samhain. Yeah, you nailed it. You got it. Yeah. So that is NWA Samhain Sawin.
How the fuck do those letters spell Samhain?
You got to ask the Irish, man. I don't know. Go ask Alan.
Oh, that's like when Taya Valkyrie, not Taya Valkyrie.
Ialfi or whatever. It was the A.
She was Alfie. Her name was Ialfi.
No, it was something even more ridiculous than that.
It was spelled like Ialfi, but her name was like Tara or something. I'm like, how the fuck does that work?
Aoife, and then I don't even remember how it was pronounced.
Aoifie, and her name was like
Eve
Lynn.
or something. Yeah, something ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was like, no, hold on a minute. What are we doing here?
Like, what the fuck? This is an Irish thing?
Yeah, it is. It is the Irish.
Samhain?
Samhain, yeah.
All right.
Anyway, before we go, flagshippatreon.com. Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame shows available there for you right now. We just did a Rest of the World show the other day with Ethan Tyler, a guy who, as far as I know, has never been on any other audio shows, is not really known in our circles, but rave reviews for that show so far. And it's a region that not a lot of people know about, but after this show, after about 2.5 hours or so, you'll know about it. We promise you that. You will know about the rest of the world region, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Pacific Islands, and Africa. We'll go into deep detail about that with Ethan Taos. That's available there at flagshippatreon.com. Patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling, voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon for that, including the Thursday Dynamite review, my write-up about MJF and Kenny Omega. I have a Bound for Glory story that went up. We got plenty of stuff up there. The Impact Bound for Glory Instant Reaction is up there too, so plenty of stuff available for you. $5 tier or $10 tier. Also voicesofwrestling.com for all previews, reviews, columns of all the stuff that we're talking about, and of course the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. So that is it for us. Joe, thanks for getting on here, and hopefully everything works out well with the dog. Keep us updated, let us know, but our fingers are crossed everything is good with her. But thanks for still coming on here and doing this. And thank you everybody for being patient at the beginning of the show as we were kind of getting things together. A little bit wonky at first, but we ended up making it work. So, all right, that's it. I am Rich. He is Joe. This is the Flagship Podcast. We'll talk to you again next time. Take care. Bye.
Hello, Voices of Wrestling listener. Dave Ryan here. Have you ever wondered to yourself how many hidden gems are hidden away inside the last years of World Championship Wrestling? Have you ever asked yourself how many tenuous gags can be made about the name Mike Enos? And have you ever thought about what it sounds like for two Irishmen to interpret a very chaotic company through its B-show? The answers to all this and more are just a click away. Check out Days of Thunder every second Thursday on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
Hello everyone, my name is Taylor.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are the co-hosts of Jumping Bomb Audio, the podcast all about Joshi Pro Wrestling here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. Every other Monday, we are with you talking about the biggest news in Joshi, along with show reviews, previews, and much, much more.
So if you're new to Joshi or you've been a longtime fan, this is the show for you. We've got something for everyone here. So check us out, Jumping Bomb Audio.